Hello, 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 and welcome back to the GTD Podcast. I am the Norix. I speak for the podcast, and we are here once again for the podcast. I don't know why. I don't know why I stuttered on the opening. You'd think I'd know it by now. But yes, hello.
Are we here for the podcast, though? Or are we here for the political conversation?
I don't know. Last time we went on a rant that ultimately culminated in my mind being melted by canals. So, you know. I don't know where that. I don't know. Also, just. My face is incredibly pink. It's the natural sunlight that comes into my room. I don't know why this is the case, but the natural light in my room just becomes this color at during the sunset. Well, it doesn't matter. Half of the audience can't even see my face, assuming they don't watch it. You know what I'm saying. Anyways, I'm here. Let's get to the introduction part. As I said, I'm the Norix. I speak for the podcast. I'm also here with Devin and or Matthew. Still no Max, but
yeah,
it's not a problem. Even though he's probably the one that people like the most. It's not a problem at all.
He's the most interesting out of the three of us, out of the four of us. That's fair.
I said that's fair.
Yeah, I suppose. But yes, a bit of. I'll just jump right into things. We have several things coming up in the show. The small talk before the episode begins ranges from like, yeah, we're all here, we're just waiting for me to get on with it, to rants about canals that I don't understand how those happen, but anyways, we have several things coming up the show today. We'll be talking about what we have been doing this week, which might be something. You never know. Then we'll be moving on to trailers. We have 3 trailers that we are going to discuss today, all of which are pixel and or two-dimensional games, specifically the new TMNT game Itorah and Monster Crown, which is possibly the most interesting out of these 3, at least in terms of what it's going for visually and conceptually. But we'll get to that. Then we'll be moving on to host topics, which we might have one. I don't know. It's usually a never, but maybe it's not today. I don't know.
Host topics mean news.
Yeah, you're a little quiet. I don't know why.
Oh, I am?
Yeah. Anyways, but then we'll be moving on to news. We'll be discussing specifically more Activision Blizzard stuff and an EA thing they did. Just EA being idiots, as per usual in their affair, to be honest. And then shameless self-promotion and the end of the show. So without further ado, let's get into it. Devin, what have you been up to this week?
Minecraft and editing and magic and kind of the same thing.
I see.
I got to draft a Dominaria cube at the local campus, which was a lot of fun. I didn't win, but it was a lot of fun. I've been putting more effort into my videos, so I've been editing them a little bit more, and I almost have 60 subscribers on that channel. Just
wow.
Cool. Yeah, I need to make more videos like that one that got 20,000 views. I should figure out how to do that.
Just clips.
I know. I should
just make a clip channel.
Yeah, or not a clip channel, a steal from other YouTubers.
Yeah, a clip channel. I mean, you could literally just like find creators you like and compile the funny things they do.
Yeah. Into
bite-sized formats for people to enjoy, which would get you a lot of views depending on how big their audience is.
Assuming everyone's okay with it.
I mean, everybody would be. YouTube puts ads on videos regardless of your want and or will, especially if they've been copyright claimed. So it doesn't really matter. you're not making money off of it.
I mean, true.
Yeah.
So, that's really the differing factor. It's like, as long as you're not making money off of it, then it's fine.
If I want to make money off of it,
then you're gonna have to, conform under like copyright law. Like, you have to. What is the term?
you have critique or review.
Yeah,
or
you have
transform
to. You have to add something to the content to make it your own.
it. I could.
You could
parody.
put comedy.
You could
No.
do actually something that you could do
Commentary.
is you could make so this is how you don't play, or so this is how you don't like. There's this series that started a while ago called This Is How You Don't Play, which started with Darkside Phil, who's this very terrible player of video games who is an idiot and plays video games in the worst way possible and does not learn at all and made his career out of that. He's also just kind of a dickbag in general. But this whole series spawned off of him. Basically, people compiled his playthroughs in these long, like hour, in this long format of just all of the stupid shit he does. And this has also branched out into other YouTubers and other content creators have also got these been made about them. Specifically, Game Grumps comes to mind. They've recently taken. Because Darkside Phil isn't really relevant anymore. Like, there's definitely he still kind of is around, but he's not really relevant as like a figure. Game Grumps is still very relevant, even though their content is bad. Just from an objectable standpoint at this juncture. So people have been making This Is How You Don't Play of the stuff they do. The reason I bring this up is because the thing that makes it very much your own is that the format is essentially showing what they're doing, showing what the person is doing. And then it also brings up like loads of comments from either the videos just expressing what they're doing wrong or, your own comments on it as well. Plus with the Game Grumps one specifically, there's like this whole weird deep dive subsection of just like going super deep into like controversies that they've been a part of on top of the just being bad at video games. So you could do that and completely get away with it, because that you would be adding a lot to it if you did something like that, I would argue. Anyways,
That sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah, it probably
Sounds like-
is. It also requires you to watch a lot of content you may or may not enjoy.
Or just become Mahler, Devin.
I want to be Mahler. I want to be able to do Mahler stuff. Yes.
I mean,
That is
you
my
could
hope.
technically.
Mm-hmm.
Probably wouldn't grow very fast, but you could.
Yeah.
I suppose you could.
Well,
I say this as a person who doesn't know who you're talking about.
Oh, so Mahler is a YouTuber who made hour-long critiques of Star Wars.
They were 3 hour long.
Oh, okay.
He made an hour and a half long part 1, an hour and a half long part 2, and an almost 2 hour part 3 critique of Star Wars: The Last Jedi. And it currently has about 3 million views each.
Yeah, if the dislikes were still being shown, I guarantee you they would be very high as well.
No.
The dislike, I'm not trying to critique his content. I'm just saying, like, The Last Jedi was such a critically split film that
I see.
Mentioning it would make the likes and dislikes go crazy.
Yeah, I see.
Let's see.
Hello.
What did you don't
70.
don't play?
70, oh no, I'm just loading the video and it auto plays. 70,000 likes, 3,000 dislikes, 3.4 views, 3.4 million.
How can you
views.
tell the dislikes?
I downloaded the extension that lets you do that.
Oh, I was unaware that was a thing.
Yeah,
I
Google
guess that
made
makes
the extension.
sense.
Google has an extension that allows you to do that. They removed the ability for the average person to do that for reasons which we will not go into, because they are completely trolly and not necessary to worry about.
Right.
That's one way.
Yeah,
of
it's for the sake of companies who can't defend themselves.
Yeah, those poor companies. Just
Those
think
poor
of the company.
companies.
Think of the children. The company
Would
children.
somebody please
that
think
other
of the
thing
children?
where they make it so you have to subscribe to.
To be fair,
Well,
at least as far as getting something done, trying to convince the general populace that the dislike button is somehow important for a child's upbringing would definitely convince them to bring it back. It's like, oh, without this, they don't get to see the negative. Therefore, he's, if you somehow convince the general populace that
you don't want the kid to see
the
the
lack of a
Aaron.
dislike button on YouTube is a bad thing for
No, Aaron,
children.
if they see the negative, then there's someone they can argue with, and they don't want that.
No.
Which means they need to remove comments from their site too now.
I mean, you can
Along
you
with
don't
anyone
have to
who's
remove
critical
comments.
of it, they don't
Comments were already something you could turn off.
Nope, they just have to remove it completely.
Well, if they did that, that would be the final death knell for YouTube as a site at that point.
And they should remove the like button too, and videos that they don't agree with.
Like, YouTube is mostly still the top dog because there isn't really any good competition for it. But if YouTube
Yeah.
decided to remove comments, one of the major things, like, I don't particularly find commenting
They would
enjoyable,
never
nor-
remove comments, Aaron.
Well, yes, I understand. Well, here's the thing. They already have a function of disabling it. If they got corporate enough, they probably would try and remove the comments
They
from the
would
site.
never do that. How dare they? Comments are the only way you can tell if a video is good or not.
I mean, I guess
You have
at
no
this
brain.
point, technically, the like and
No.
dislike button is supposed to
No,
say, like, if you wanted to
Yeah.
try and
I
gauge
actually-
the opinion of a video at this point without having to watch it, the comments are the only way to do it now.
I am one of the few people, not few people, whatever, because I have no idea about statistics, but I am one of those people who very definitely would say, I don't think we should have a dislike button on YouTube. I don't think we should have, I don't think we should have a dislike button on YouTube. But the reason is because I don't think creators need to receive negative feedback. Because if you receive, I mean, it does give the creator more ability to do it. But I think basically, I think that by default, there shouldn't be a dislike button, and the creator could add a dislike button. And that way, most people aren't going to have dislikes on their videos, so they can track how much people like it by how many likes they get.
Well, the
But that's how
point
other platforms do it.
the point
don't
of the dislike button is to give a fast and easy, just like dislike. It's like, oh, okay, if
Yes.
the dislikes are higher, that means the audience didn't like it as much. And it's fast and easy, and you don't have to wade through comments for reasons why it was wrong or bad and something like that. It's just quick and easy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Was it a perfect system? No.
Quick and easy.
No,
Like
it was
some
not a perfect
analogy
system.
I could use.
It was not a perfect system in the slightest, because even for things that were innocuous, you might just like, because that's the other thing. I don't know how you could potentially confirm this, but like, I know that like bots automatically dislike or like certain videos just to sort of keep like a ratio type thing. But there's also just people that dislike videos just because. And I don't get that, but it's a thing that exists. There's also probably people that like videos just because. I mean,
Yeah.
like there's a literally, like on YouTube, there's literally just a playlist of your liked videos. So I'm sure some people just use it as an extra playlist if they don't want to do anything else. Yeah. I don't interact with any of the social functions on YouTube at all. I don't like or dislike, nor do I comment. I read the comment section, but that's not something I used to do. It's something it's a disease I picked up over the course of being a YouTube viewer. For some reason, even though probably about like 90% of the time, it's a bad idea, I read the comment section anyways. It's like it's just not there's nothing worthwhile to read in the comment section of any video, regardless of what it is. That's a personal opinion, but I think it's true just based on the fact that it's the general populace, most of which children are commenting their open opinions, which are going to be stupid.
I accidentally turned my camera off.
Yeah. Anyways, where were we? But yeah, the like and dislike button. Also, in regards to that, I don't necessarily disagree with you in regards to like how it functions, but I do think it should exist at the very least.
Okay.
Because even if it doesn't necessarily help, small creators, it can at the very least help, take down large corporations.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't help.
Yeah, it doesn't. If it actually worked, and it would actually make the videos that were heavily disliked lower, then that's heavily disliked by not bots. Then that would be interesting, because then it would make YouTube a democracy, and I really like that.
Well, that is
actually work.
Well, here's the thing: lack of comments and lack of likes does decrease the like.
Not on corporate videos.
Well, that depends. Also,
the thing is real quick, the thing that is a problem though is that if a dislike button did work, people who have mobs of haters after them would have their content diminished, simply because there are a lot of haters who just go and dislike their video because they know it works. And then you have people, and then, well, very importantly, then the vast majority of people will start being more milquetoast. They won't say things that are a little bit against the grain or that could get people upset at them, because they don't
that's already happened with YouTube's terms of service stuff anyways.
It is. That's fair.
I mean, like...
But it would have happened because of the audience mob, not because of YouTube terms of service. Maybe.
I mean, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, getting back to what we were talking about before, I highly doubt YouTube will remove comments, as you yourself have said, but I don't know. I was going to mention something else. Where were we? Right, what you were doing this week. We were talking about content, and the content you could potentially do. I remember now. You want to be somebody who can make hour-long videos about critiquing certain things.
I think it would be very cool to be a guy who makes hour-long. Yes.
Okay.
I don't think I will, but
I mean, you just need the time, right?
The time and the subject and stuff. Yeah, I guess. I did this for Stranger Things. I think I made a 20-minute video critiquing Stranger Things. And I think honestly, if I had a way, if I knew how to get the foot, honestly, okay, it's not that many, there aren't that many hurdles in the way. But with the footage, I could pretty easily make a critique of Stranger Things that would be really interesting, because criticism comes from a place of love. And I love Stranger Things, and I don't love Stranger Things season 2 as much, and I don't love season 3 as much as season 1. And I'm not really sure, because I don't remember season 3 very much, because there were some really good parts in it, and then there were some really dumb things, some incredibly dumb things. Like the way they handled the villain was not even, it wasn't just like sad, it was just like actually actively poor, bad writing for both villains. That was the video I made. They made the twist villain. They made the twist villain. It's not twist villain. They made the villain. I don't even know. Stranger Things season 3 is a mess.
I've heard
it's a mess. I know, it's sad. The writing is.
Were there only 3 seasons? Were there only 3 seasons of Stranger Things?
There have only been 3 seasons, and the 4th season. Yeah. Lag.
Ooh.
You're lagging. Yep, you just lagged. So yes, there are 3. Oh, you heard.
I heard. Wasn't a new season is being filmed, but I don't remember what number.
A new season has been filmed. I'm pretty sure it has been filmed.
Right.
Or almost finished film, something like that, and it takes place in Russia. At least part of it takes place in Russia because of the Cold War going on, which is interesting timing considering what's going on now.
But we don't have to get into that. But
But we don't want to get into that. Why wouldn't we want to get into that?
Hey, look, Aaron, this is one of those things, and this is something with most news that I think about. If people were not talking about it constantly, would this be news?
What?
And then second,
the war?
yeah, would it be news? There's a war going. There are already wars going on, and we don't talk about those that are currently going on.
Well,
there are people. There are. What's the word? There are slavery situations going on in the world currently, and we're not intervening to prevent that.
Right. It's about, you are correct. It is about coverage, but it's also because this isn't, I know this is kind of an unfortunate thing, but it's because this is a major nation.
Oh, I know.
It's a major nation invading another, major.
It's really funny because
the entire thing is massively broadcast because they're massive countries in their own right, and also because the dumbasses that are a part of it won't shut the fuck up about it. And I'm not talking about anybody from Ukraine specifically.
I would also add there are two additional parts, which is one, people in general have an underlying fear of World War III, and this has a tenuous connection to World War III. And so if you could tap into that underlying fear, you can get people really worked up about something that, even though it is horrible, it's not necessarily deserving of constant thought or everyone to be worried about it, but everyone is, because it's connected to World War III, and that's terrifying.
Yeah, I suppose.
Because, like, seriously, if you actually look at the number of people who died, I think
just in like here's the thing. I get that. I get the whole World War thing.
Maybe I think it's
World War III. I get the whole World War III thing.
I'm a brutal historian with no heart. Like, looking at the old numbers, it's like, yeah, in China, they killed 300 million people. Really? That was the entire population of Europe. What happened? They were fighting with each other. Wait, China was fighting with itself? Yes. Different people in China were fighting for who would dominate China. When was this happening? Back when Europe was cavemen. Not cavemen, but like back when Europe didn't really have anything going on. China had 300 million people charging into battle. It's insane. Those numbers are insane, because if you compare them to modern wars, it's like a friggin'
Well, I mean, yes, but it's also the difference. It's like the more modern a war gets, the less it is about a battlefield.
Yeah.
And the more it like, because a lot of people consider World War II like the last, like, not World War II, World War I. Like, World War I was the last war where horses were used on the battlefield. It was the last, like, actual quote unquote war that didn't involve, like, because you had the no man's land, you had all these different places where soldiers were being sent, and these massive battlegrounds and places like that. It was the last, what's the word I'm looking for? It's the last, like, I guess you could call it war. It's the last war that didn't involve, like, it's also the last war that didn't involve nuclear devices in any way. Yeah, because going into World War II, I don't know why I said it like that. Going into World War II, you had, bigger world powers, sort of fighting it out with each other. One of the worst, one of the worst, like, people in history leading the charge of Germany, Hitler, and also, funnily enough, Stalin, one of the other worst people in history, helping us kill the Nazis, and then decided to, do all the terrible shit he did. Yeah, World War II is very large scale and very fucked. But it, after World War I, horses on the battlefield were retired. World War I is also a very interesting period to me, because it was sort of like this weird period of, like, strange invention. Like, it's a very weird war, and that's what it was. It's the last war that was fought with, like, old or conventional methods. Like going into World War One and then two, nobody really knew how to fight that kind of war. Like, we didn't really know what we were doing because it was so different compared to anything else we've had before. That's what I was trying to get at. And then moving, it's, what was my point? I did that old man thing where I went on a rant and then forgot what my point was. Yes, World War III. I don't personally think it'll happen, even if irrational thinking aside makes me worry about it.
I mean, I think it'll probably happen. I just don't think it'll happen right now.
Well, here,
if it happens, I think it's more likely to be a cyber war.
Yeah, there's also an argument that World War III is currently happening and it's a cyber war or information war. I've heard that.
Well, the reason I would say World War III even is because, like, there isn't really a very big reason to go to a war, like a traditional one anyways.
There is.
Well,
there is national glory to bring a country together on the brink of either population collapse or some kind of crisis that's happening.
I don't know. I did
that is a reason. It's a reason.
I mean, it's a reason, but like,
it's a reason, man. Just go with it.
I don't know. I don't know enough about world politics to really like dig into certain aspects of this, but like,
it's okay, man. I know everything about the world politics.
What are you? Like, what are you, a 1920s New Yorker?
Yeah, man. I know everything about the world politics. You see, New York is the biggest country. It's the biggest country. And I'm doing like a combination of two politicians' accents.
It's like a weird combination of New York, like 1920s New York, and like, I don't know, just like a basketball player. I don't even know. I don't know what else.
New York is almost a bigger country than Africa.
It's also got a bit of Christopher Walken in it. It's very strange. And now it's going to be big. I want to be like you. Anyways, what was I talking about?
That was Walken. Okay.
Hello, I'm Christopher Walken. It's not over, bears. If you've ever seen Country Bears, because Christopher Walken's the villain.
Oh no,
it's hilarious.
Yeah, oh my, yes. I have experienced that movie.
Laughs maniacally while driving a bus. Fucking Christopher. That movie is hilarious. Anyways, getting very. We didn't even have a topic, and we're somehow getting off of it.
You've had a lot.
Where was I going with this whole thing? I've lost my train of thought again. World War III. Oh, that's right. So I have sort of been like passively keeping up with like the news stuff that comes out of the war with you can't pronounce things, man. Ukraine. Is that how you pronounce that?
Yes.
Yep. Ukraine.
Ukraine. Yes.
I'm unconfident in my pronunciation for some reason.
You pronounce it Ukraine.
One thing that I did see, the reason I want to bring this up is just because like it's some lightheartedness on top of this, is that a Russian tank was on the side of the road out of gas. There is this video of this guy.
How they doing? Oh, there's supply chains.
Who ran by a Russian tank that's out of gas with the soldiers out of it on the side of the road in his car, and he's like, "Hey, what's up? What you want me to give you a tow back to Russia?" It's actually quite a funny video because it's the reason it's lighthearted because like you got to remember like the soldiers that are fighting didn't actually really want to do this. Like it wasn't their idea. Yeah. And there's a lot of soldiers Russian side that were actually like giving up as well and joining Ukraine.
Fair enough.
Well, not a lot, but I did hear like some soldiers were, because they're just like the people who actually want this are Putin and anybody who agrees with him. The soldiers themselves are not super into what's happening. And then there's a whole like there's a bunch of like war protests happening in Ukraine as well, in like Russia, Georgia, all of those places. Like you know the Georgia I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Country, yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting watching it happen in real time. Anyways, the tank thing I just think is kind of funny because it's just, it's this normal interaction in very unnormal circumstances,
Yeah.
Anyways, aside from that, I don't remember if I had a point other than just ranting out World War. So I hope you enjoyed my very vague history, well, not really history lesson, just the ramblings of an old man, we'll say. So yeah, you want to be a good YouTuber?
Yes.
Yes.
And I think that is actually a really good idea. I think I should make another critique of Stranger Things. Thank you for that idea. That's a really good idea.
You can do it in preparation for the new season.
Yeah. I mean, it even works with like the timing stuff. This is a good thing to sink in my, because I have so much to say, and I don't know if it's been said in the way that I'm thinking it. Because specifically, the thing that got me, I'm gonna can I say a little bit of it for like 2 minutes?
Go for it.
Okay. The thing that really got me.
We've already gone on like a 5-minute rant about war. You can have this.
The thing that really got me was the way that the filmmakers showed that they had a lot of talent and that they knew what they were doing, and also made some really, really, really fundamentally broken things happen in their story.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them was they had they set it up that what happens is there's a character called Billy, who is kind of like a bad guy character in season 2, and in season 3 he gets a really dumb introduction where he's this attractive young man, and all of the 40-year-old moms are attracted to him at the pool, and he's the pool the lifeguard. And so it's a really cringy and weird scene. And I don't like that because it doesn't belong in this show. The show is lighthearted and doesn't need this kind of dark tone for it.
Right.
But then he gets you basically see him being a bit of a slime ball. And then you see him getting into a car wreck, and he decides to go and investigate this building where there's weird noises coming from it. And he gets grabbed and dragged down the stairs by a big long tentacle of the monster that's down there in the basement. But then we cut, and then when we cut back, he's scrambling out of the basement. And so we assume he escaped. So he survived or something. He like, what? Because the other people, I think they've been dying, but he has survived. And for whatever reason, he is the surviving person who is this fully competent. He's still him, kind of, but the other people who have been possessed by this monster are completely gone, and are kind of like mindless drones. Maybe we're not sure.
Right,
they're just standing around in a basement doing nothing while the monster plots or something.
And
Billy go around
D&D big bad approach.
I know. And it's so bad.
I will plot in my tower and await the heroes.
Yes. It hurts. But then he doesn't. He plots in the tower. He sits there. He waits. There's this army of people who've been taken over by him standing around in this room. Billy goes and fights and is able to. So Elle is the superpowered character in Stranger Things, and he goes toe to toe with her. Billy is just a normal person. He's not even this big monster. He's just a normal person enhanced by this monster or something.
Right.
And he's still kind of Billy, but also possessed. It's weird. And I can see they're basically trying to show that there's still something of him left, kind of, but he's also a jerk. And so he's wanting to use all this power, and he doesn't care about these people that he's beating on. And so even though he is also possessed, he's also part of it. It's like kind of vaguely saying that. What do you mean that it's possible to redeem him, right? And so there's a setup for that where it's like, oh, you could maybe redeem this character, and that could be a clever way of beating him without just beating him up. But then Elle beats him up and throws him out of a wall, and he runs away, which we presume means he was beaten. He found that he couldn't keep fighting her for some reason.
Mhm.
Because otherwise he would have just fought her, right? Because that's how motivation works. If he's wanting to fight her and beat her, he would continue until he ran out of energy. And so if he runs away, it means he's out of energy, probably.
Makes
You did-
sense.
And so then they set up this scene where you're getting ready because there's a big clone army of Billies. So how the heck are the characters supposed to beat a clone army of she was only the strongest character in the party, was only able to fight one of them. There's an army of them, like 20 of them in this basement. What do you think happens?
Why are there clones of him?
Not clones, sorry. People who have gone through the same process, we presume, as he did. So the monster has
Of being
been
dragged
kidnapping
down the
people
stairs
bringing them-
and then running back up.
Well, they haven't run back up, but
Right.
the monster has been possessing various people, and Billy has been helping kidnap them and stuff. He kidnapped one of his lifeguard friends. He kidnapped a couple other people. There's an old lady who got.
It probably considering your complaints with it, I highly doubt this is the case, but it kind of sounds like the monster is looking for like symbiosis with people, which is why the drones don't work and some of them do.
Okay.
But obviously that isn't the case because
What do you think the monster does, though? I know the monster has an army of people, an army of these really powerful people. Matthew, I think you know, right? Do you know? I think I've shown you the scene.
Yeah, he has
Matthew?
an army of really powerful people and he doesn't do anything. He just sits in a
Oh.
basement.
Yep. But what do you think he does with the army? Because he's about to
Kills
use the
them?
army for something.
Kills them? I don't know.
Yep.
Sounds about right.
He kills all his army. This army of people who still look like people that could walk around, and you could have a cool scene of them marching down the street and the party being like, oh crap, we couldn't fight one of those. Now we have to fight an army of them. What do we do? Or maybe since the party's in different places, some of the army could go over here, some of it could go over there, and that way the monster could be in multiple places at once. But no, they all get absorbed into one giant blob monster, which then crawls out of the basement and starts chasing the characters. This giant blob is really slow. So it goes from having an army of potentially superhuman people to being a big slow blob that can't fight.
Right, I get you.
And so the characters obviously run away from it because they can't fight it. But it was already a giant blob monster. It just became a bigger giant blob monster when it ate people.
Mm-hmm.
And it could have just had those people do stuff.
Yeah.
And if it couldn't, then what the heck is Billy doing? And how did it make Billy usable? And like, what is and it gets worse. It gets worse. Remember Batman v Superman, that really horrible scene where the dude says Martha and then they stop fighting?
Yeah. When why'd you say that name?
Yep.
Why'd you say that name?
Yep.
Martha.
So in
Batman and Superman stop fighting because their mom
moms have
their moms have the same name. That's right.
And so in Stranger Things season 3,
Man,
Billy gets redeemed by
Zack Snyder's a genius.
I have actually heard people argue that there's a certain not genius, but a certain intelligence to it. And I think if it had been done a little bit differently, and maybe
it's done at the end of it's done at the end of two guys beating the shit out of each other because they hate each other for no reason. Like,
if it had been done more nuancedly, the idea could have potentially worked, but it did not work.
I mean, I can see where it might work because Batman as a character is obsessed with his parents' death. So it kind of makes sense for him to do that kind of thing. But
and
at the end of a testosterone-filled punch-out match between mecha Batman and Superman, who are only fighting each other based on a lie at the very most, is really dumb.
Yep.
Anyways, continue.
Okay. So basically the what was I saying?
Stranger Things.
Stranger
Blob
Things.
monster, Billy.
Right. The end of the show, the very end, when there's a big battle going on, Billy and the blob monster have cornered the heroes. They're getting ready to fight them or something. The heroes are throwing fireworks around. It's a big mess. And they realize, also during this big fight, Billy is the one doing a lot of the fighting because the big blob monster is a big blob. And they realize that they can hurt Billy by throwing fireworks at the big blob monster. So the big blob monster isn't as scary because it doesn't actually do anything and it kills no one.
Yeah, except
And
for its
Billy
army.
Billy has a scene where he like does this to a metal bar, and then he also has a scene where he takes someone's head and slams it against the wall.
Uh-huh.
And they are fine.
And I'm totally fine. It's fine.
And that's the kind of thing that I would forgive. I don't find that to be a problem. But once I find one thing, I start seeing other things.
Yeah, I get you.
Once you break my immersion. Oh, so Billy is standing there, and Elle reaches out to him with her psychic abilities, which I think she still has at that point. And I really, really hope she still has them at that point, because otherwise that would make no sense. And she reaches into his memory, and she finds out the stuff we already knew about his backstory from season 2, and she tells him the number 7, I think, and he decides to fight the bad guy now. And so he turns and he like stabs the bad guy, and then the bad guy stabs him and he dies instantly. And he collapses, and the bad guy's still alive, and it starts swinging around to get them, and then immediately an off switch gets triggered somewhere else in the story, and that kills the monster.
I see.
So it's a combination of the droids being destroyed by that one thing getting destroyed, the off switch.
I mean, that makes sense. It was literally a massive control tower.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. It makes sense. It's just a writing
sense.
device that people talk about.
The off switch. I mean, like, well, I don't know.
Yeah. Instead of finding a clever way to beat him, they just cut off something else which kills him, which works. I actually think that works pretty well.
I mean, it does.
The thing that doesn't work if you are redeeming someone who is a bully, who has killed people, who hates people, and you tell him the number 7 or whatever it was. She tells him something really. It's so.
Yeah.
I have a video about it. I actually made a video about this. It's not amazing, but I actually made a video about this.
Yeah.
That was a little more than 5 minutes. I'm sorry.
It's fine. But hey, now you're all pumped up and ready to make another one.
I am.
Yeah. So sorry. So that's what you've been up to this week?
That is what I've been up to this week.
Anything else before we move on to Matthew?
No.
All right, cool. So you've been working and stuff, and you want to make more videos, just to sum up that section.
Yes.
Cool. Pretty sure I was like 30 minutes, but that doesn't matter.
Sorry.
It doesn't matter. It's mostly my fault for going on a tangent in the middle of that and then forgetting what my point was. So you know.
Well, thank you.
So I hope you enjoyed that. Let's move on to Matthew. What have you been up to this week?
We're a great gaming podcast.
Yeah, I know. Might as well just call us The Discussion.
See, that might work better content-wise. We're pretty good at the discussion part.
Yeah.
Anyway. What have I been up to this week? I've worked on the game. Let's see. Other things. Have I played any video games?
We're well past video games at this point.
What did you say, Aaron?
I said we're well past video games at this point.
Well, in regards to Dungeons and Dragons.
No, we're gonna go on a tangent again. I mean, it is a game. It counts.
On my game system, and I realized I needed to adjust some table stuff and change around some things. I'm just gonna have mana and spell slots instead of just mana for spells and magic items. So mana is gonna be used for magic items and trigger effects, while spell slots will, if it's not a blunt enough break already, I need to throw it harder. You probably get what spell slots are.
I don't even want to think about what you're doing. Because Jesus.
Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to keep energy and adrenaline, but I think I am. Because adrenaline has its uses apart from, to be separated from energy. But on another note, because of this, I've started an entirely new document to cross-reference from my old document to make a bunch of new tables and re-edit everything. So I'm basically making a new Alestra document to add one thing. Because otherwise the formatting would be messed up.
Right.
No.
So now I have about 5 iterations of the same document, basically, that are all different for the same system.
I see.
Becoming less and less like Dungeons and Dragons.
Well, that's kind of the point, wasn't it? You were
Originally,
making...
it was supposed to be homebrew.
You don't make your own system for homebrew.
Well, originally, it was just going to be the setting and to work with 5e, and then it stopped being that. And I decided that I was done with 5e and made my own system. You know, simplicity be gone.
Yeah. I will say something I realized recently, just sort of like passively, is that that sentence failed. Let me try that again. So you're making a new system because you're dissatisfied with 5e.
You are correct.
That sentiment is not exactly unique.
I know.
That sentiment is not exactly unique. Why did I say unique?
I don't know.
What the hell? I created a new word. That's how fucked my dialogue is at this point. Anyway,
it's just getting worse.
I wanted to bring it up because I feel like that shouldn't be the sentiment, right? I feel like the sentiment for a player after playing D&D 5e or just any tabletop system for an extended period of time shouldn't be, I want to make my own system because of how much I dislike this. You know,
okay, that probably shouldn't be the sentiment, but it is kind of.
The fact that 5e, 5e has
in.
driven this sentiment into many different players, like far beyond homebrew, just into new system territory, is like kind of ridiculous and also really telling of the system itself.
You think?
Yeah, because it's like I'm very much of the mind, like, I mean, you can see it right there. For those of you who can't see, I have like 10 different fucking tabletop RPGs behind me. It's like I don't just like collecting different tabletop RPGs. I like having RPGs for different occasions. It's like D&D isn't an all-in-one system. There are a lot of things it can't do well, nor could it ever really do well. And there's a point that crosses over from like tweaking D&D to fit your needs to being more work than just learning a new system, or like more or less work than just learning a new system to fit your needs anyways. And I get
what I realized.
I get why people have the sentiment of like, oh, I don't want to stop playing D&D because it's the one you got into and you don't feel like you want to go through the effort of learning something new again, or especially for 5e, it's the one that's always on people's minds because it's the most popular tabletop RPG of the last like.
Well, Aaron, you're right. I don't want to learn a new system. Instead, I want to make one so that I don't have to learn a new one.
I meant of the last like 20 years, it's like the most popular. I'm saying all sorts of wrong things today.
Yes, you are.
D&Ds did not exist 100 years ago, as far as I'm aware. Well,
no, about
getting close, actually.
Yeah, it's been about half.
The 70s are getting close to 100 years ago.
Wow.
It was made in the late 60s or early 70s.
Yeah, D&D was adapted from war games of like Gygax's like childhood and stuff.
So
it was made in like the 70s or so. So yeah, it is actually getting close. I wasn't entirely wrong, but the way I used it was wrong.
Well, yeah, of course.
Anyways, D&D 5e is incredibly popular, and everything that surrounds it has just made it more popular and more in the public eye, especially now that people that didn't even like tabletop RPGs before are getting into it, or just consume it through other means, or just have false pretenses about what a tabletop RPG should be based on, I don't know, stuff like Critical Role. You know.
Yeah.
Anyways, but it's like, I don't know. It's weird that that's the thing that players of 5e have after they've played it long enough, because I completely understand it. But I decided to get into different systems instead of just go through 5e.
Yeah.
Or make my own. You know?
I decided to do what you just said.
Yeah, I know. The only reason I brought it up is just because I went on a rant again. The reason I brought it up is just because I think that's an interesting. I think it's interesting that, you know, the most popular RPG of the last like 20 years exhibits this response from its players.
Yeah, I'm gonna make my own game system. Something that I want to do with Alestra, I don't know if I'm going to keep the name for the system as Alestra because that's more of a setting, but something I want to do with the game is make it so it can work both with sci-fi and with medieval fantasy.
All right.
So there's going to be some implementation for optional rules, so like rules that you can switch out for each other to make one thing work better for another thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not totally sure how I'm going to do it, but I want to make it work.
Is this entirely just because you want to try and run that cyberpunk thing again? Sci-fi game?
No,
No,
that is not why.
Okay.
I want sci-fi mechanics in my medieval fantasy game.
I feel like I'm not going to rag on you for that one, but I will rag on you for dumping it on me.
Shut up. I realized that I was getting overwhelmed and I was like, well, I can't just stop a game. So
I mean, I accepted it. I did accept it, and that is my own fault. But
yes,
I did. I mean, I didn't have anything prepared for like the longest time, and it's not like somebody else should have taken over. It doesn't matter.
Oh, gosh. I know how to build a more sci-fi setting better now. I know more about that stuff.
Right. Anyways, so what else?
Other topics regarding gaming and RPGs. I may be doing things with subclasses and possibly considering making well over 100 feats.
All right.
So that your character is mostly your feats rather than your class.
I mean, that's a lot of systems are kind of like that.
I know,
and where it's all like skills instead of specific. Like you select a template or you have an idea in mind and you just pick from skills to make it work that way.
Yes,
like Mutants and Masterminds specifically is like that. I think it is.
Yeah.
Is it the Masterminds?
What I want to do is something like you get a certain number of feats at 0th level / first level. And yes, I want to make rules for 0th level.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my.
And then when you choose those feats, and because of how feats would work, it takes some feats are just you get +1 in this ability and you get +1 in that ability, things like that.
Yeah.
Maybe feats with what asterisks next to their name, which would be a lot of them, can be taken multiple times. So that you can just repeatedly take it and be really good in one thing.
Yeah.
Because I don't like how powerful feats are in 5th edition, or Keen Mind, or Sentinel. Those two are very problematic ones.
Mm-hmm.
Ow!
Oh my.
Got cats.
I don't know if you want me to pet you or not.
It wants you to notice it.
Yes.
That's what it wants.
It wants me to do this.
Yeah.
He's not on my lap anymore, though. So, as I was saying, I don't like the feats of 5e, especially not Sentinel or Keen Mind, because Keen Mind is called Take Notes, and explain how you're telling time when you've been stuck underground for 10 days straight, but you can still tell what way is north.
Yeah.
And tell exactly how long it is before sunset. Explain
that. Innate magnetism.
That's not how human brains work. I don't care if you can keep everything straight for 30 days. You've been underground for 10 days.
Then again, that wouldn't technically
at a certain point, people lose track. What?
Because there's a magnetic north and then there's a true north.
Yes. I don't like the feet.
Yeah, it's I get you. I get it.
I really don't like the memory part of the feat because it's like, okay, why is it 1 month? Why specifically is it 1 month? Also, why isn't it just take notes? What does it expect?
Because the player doesn't want to work, and the game and 5e has a bad habit of putting a lot of things to the DM's discretion.
So does it expect the DM to take all the notes?
Probably. That's just me from a perspective of having played 5e as long as I have. I would not be surprised if the person who wrote that expected the GM to specifically take notes.
And I'm like, no DM is going to want to do that, or at least very few GMs are. There are very few DMs who are like, cat, don't keep clawing at my head. There are very few DMs.
Yes, you're right. There are very few DMs who do that.
Who are like, I know you want pets or something. I'm not sure what you want. This guy right here. You can't see him.
You can't see him, but it's
as soon as I move my hand.
Some cats.
Yes, so that's what I was saying.
Some cats.
Oh my goodness. As I was saying, he's envious of the computer.
At least he's not chewing the cord.
I don't like Keen Mind because it doesn't make any sense. It makes sense from an in-world flavor standpoint, but the player is not going to have the memory of their character.
No, they are not. Most players don't even have the memory of themselves.
Not by that either.
You know, most players don't even have the memory of themselves, let alone another person.
Yes. I'm like, if you want your character to have a good memory, take notes.
Yeah. It's like, the session was today?
Mm-hmm.
I see that
like,
Keen Mind feat was for nothing.
Yeah. Now, another thing. The Sentinel feat is even dumber because it's like, if you get an opportunity attack by mechanics, you get an opportunity attack if the creature moves out of your melee range. If they didn't take the disengage action.
Mm-hmm.
So 5 to 10 feet. So if a creature does that and they're moving at 10,000 miles an hour and you hit them with your attack, they lose all of that movement for the rest of the turn, even if they take the dash action.
Well, movement in D&D is weird.
And you're using a dart.
Yeah.
You are using a needle. You poke them in it, and they just lose all of their momentum for 6 seconds.
Well, that's more of a realism
to a train.
Like that's one of those things that's like very gamey, and your main issue with that is that it's not very realistic.
So much of it feels so gamey. I didn't like that from the start.
It's
like Hey, what?
I can tell you're distressed over this.
This is why I'm making my own game system. I need physics.
I noticed.
I don't use it as escapism. I use it as a medium to tell a story, whether it's the story of the character going through the story of the DM or going through another story. It doesn't matter. Yeah. I'm using it to tell something.
Mm-hmm. I get you.
I'm not using. I know a lot of people use it for escapism, but still, I can't stand how little physics there are in 5th edition. It's like, so if you fall from 20 feet, if you fall from 200 feet, you take the same amount of impact damage as falling from 20,000 feet.
Yeah, the fact that there's a cap on how much. Here's the thing: the fact that there's a cap on how much.
If you fall from 20,000 feet.
It is really weird that they're like. I get it from a dice perspective because it's like they don't want you to roll that many, and the people who made the game probably are assuming that that's not going to happen in normal play. Which, to be fair, probably isn't. At least in most normal tables. But the fact that there is a actual inbuilt cap on how much damage you can take from falling is very strange. Like technically technically speaking, there should be a cap on how much damage you take because of terminal velocity, right? At some point after an object reaches its terminal velocity, it can no longer fall any faster. And if you're falling from a height that you would reach terminal velocity, then your damage, quote unquote, would technically max out because you're moving as fast as you possibly could.
But hitting the ground from terminal velocity versus 20,000 feet is still dead.
I mean, there are stories of some people surviving from somewhat high falls. Those are the outliers, though.
That's very rare.
Yes.
And that's because of a saving throw, not because you have 300 hit points.
Yeah. Anyway.
You can't just stand up again.
Yeah.
I also think the healing and suddenly being conscious in 5th edition is stupid. Because it's like, you're dying, you're one death save away from dead. Healing word, you're at 1 hit point. I'm up! I can move fully and completely actively. I shoot my bow and then swing with my greatsword.
Yeah, because...
And then do a double sumo smash on...
Those are really hard to die. It's easy to die at like semi-low level, depending on how much damage you're taking, but by the time you're like a 10th level barbarian
also
with like rage, you can take so much fucking damage.
The unkillability of 5e characters bothers me. And the idea, this is a precedent set up by 5th edition. Devin, can you turn on an overhead light?
I don't even know what happened. Magical darkness.
This is a precedent put in by 5th edition that encounters should be balanced for the players. And I'm like,
well,
no, they don't need to be balanced. Even if they're deadly.
This is actually something that really gets me.
It's like the mindset of you can't send a purple worm against a party because of course they're not going to be able to beat it. And I'm like, yes, that's not the point.
Yeah, when you look at older adventures, like a purple worm, there's purple worms that live in this gulch. It's like, whoa, what are they doing there? It's like they're there for scenery. And maybe there's treasure there if you're an idiot who wants to go down there and try to avoid them. But like, this isn't a combat encounter. This is a navigate the yeah.
If the adventure is fighting the dragon, I understand making the dragon equal enough to where the party could have a tough big boss fight at it at the end.
Yeah.
But if you're running a more open world game, or you're running a game where you have some story things that aren't supposed to be went to, but are accessible because it's open, and the players know about it, and it's a CR10 statue. The party's not supposed to fight it.
Yeah.
But they can, and they manage to beat it somehow.
Well, yeah,
okay.
Part of the reason
it's like, and then the players.
So the weird thing
that seemed a little unbalanced. I'm like, from a CR standpoint, yes, from how you guys went about it, and you managed to pin it in a way that I couldn't feasibly see it being attacked.
Yeah, that's the thing. Part of the reason why encounters need to be quote unquote balanced in 5e is because of the action economy.
Yeah, and I say I'm going to run my monsters based on how they should be in the moment and have action for their actions at least, act as if it's
like
going
the
on
action
in the
economy almost requires battles to be balanced just because of how it functions.
Yes. And I hate the action economy.
It doesn't
It's like,
function well when
they're
it doesn't function well when one side is very obviously more powerful than the other.
Yeah, I hate the action economy so much.
Mm-hmm.
I hate it. It's like, so 50 warlocks, 50 first level warlocks can beat the Trask. Really?
Yeah.
No, sorry, 50 first level clerics. Because Sacred Flame.
Yeah.
You're telling me first level characters can beat the Trask?
That is what the game is telling you.
Legendary, horrifying creature. Because the characters can all just move back. And it can never reach them if they begin far enough away.
Yeah.
That's stupid. Or if they begin in the air.
Yeah. Also,
I hate 5e's action economy.
Yeah, it's you know, it's not
I
really
also
useful.
hate evasion because it's the dumbest ability. It's the stupidest ability.
Evasion.
It's like if I am in the center of the fireball and I succeed the save, I have no legs. My legs have been chopped off. So I'm immobile.
Yeah.
But there isn't an ability. There isn't a thing for that. Like specific rules. I'm immobile. My legs are chopped off. So if I roll above the save, I take no damage from the fireball, even though I have no legs or arms. I still take no damage from the fireball. How?
Yeah.
Okay, technically there are
Yeah,
rules.
I don't think you'd get a save if you had no legs or arms.
Like,
Technically, you would. You would just be at disadvantage.
True. So if I succeed,
You know?
say,
Because 5e only has one state for players to be in, which is at disadvantage or advantage. No
Or-
numbers here.
or-
Or you could just not make. I'm pretty sure
actually,
I'm pretty
there
sure it'd be
there is
possible.
automatically failing saves. Like
Yeah.
trained,
Yeah, I mean, if
automatically
you're
fail
prone.
Or if you're
But
not having legs.
so if you're standing in the middle of the plains and there's nothing to hide behind at all,
Okay, I want to
there's
say
no
this,
one
by the
within
way.
20 feet of you,
Okay,
and the person casts fireball, and you succeed the save, you're at the heart of the fireball.
so I
You
wanna say
take no
something.
damage.
I want to say
Okay.
something. I want to say something.
How?
Yes. What is it?
I have
Evan?
read the old Dragon magazines, the old Dragon magazines from a long time ago. There was actually a debate where people were talking about if saving throws were dumb or not. And one of the things they brought up explicitly, I remember reading someone talking about this, and these were the words they used. If a player is chained to a metal pole and also soaked in water, and a electric dragon, I don't remember which one breathes electricity, but the thunder
Blue.
dragon breathes lightning at them. The blue dragon breathes lightning at them. They should still get a save.
No, they shouldn't.
Well,
They are dead if that happens.
Because it's possible they could find a weakness in the chain and jump out of the way in time or something.
What if it's a chain made of adamantine and mithril?
Well,
Because
that's
it's
also
rock
back in the
that
day
they
when
were
the
is
save
evasion.
wasn't just like a straight
Bedrock.
thing. There was like, oh, you have to make,
yeah,
these
save
types
versus
of
dragon
saves.
breath. Yeah, and very
It's like
importantly,
a save
they were
versus
thinking
dragon
of
breath.
they were not arguing this is realistic or this is how things should they were not arguing this is realistic. They were arguing this is how I think things should work because I like this.
I
like
Yeah.
this. Perfectly reasonable.
I mean, I think here's the thing. Taking no damage from any AoE attack as long as you have a evasion and succeed is kind of ridiculous.
I think it could be quarter
No.
damage. Quarter damage seems fine.
Because
No damage.
Like, well, here's the. I feel like evasion
Volley of
is,
arrows.
as an evasion. I don't know. But here's the thing. Here's the thing with evasion. Evasion as a
Going
skill
red
is
territory.
realistically kind of because. So okay, the way saves work in 5e is that you make a save, and if you succeed the save, you take half damage, regardless of what attack it is. You take half of it, regardless of what it is, regardless of where you are. You take half of it if you succeed the save. If you fail the save, you take full damage. If you roll a 1, you take double. Stuff like that. And I believe if you roll a 20, no, I don't think there's any special rule for that. If you have the evasion skill, as classes that have it, you roll to save. If you fail the save, you take half, is it? Don't you take half if you have evasion?
If you fail the save, you take half. Yeah.
That's right. If you fail the save with evasion, you take half, and if you succeed, you do not take any damage at all. Now, that's kind of broken, anyways, but
Kind of.
like, well, the reason
On
it's kind
ropes.
of broken is because realistically speaking, only one person in the party would probably have that ability, depending on what they're playing. Likely only one, maybe two people in the party would have evasion, because it's a class skill. It is not a feat that people can take. It is specifically a class skill.
I'd hate it even more.
Oh yeah, technically, unless you have Shield Master actually does allow you to take half
See, Shield Master makes a little more sense.
It makes sense because you have a shield.
Exactly.
So here's the thing. The way you could change it would still make sense because the way evasion works, at least in terms of the D&D setting, is that you are specifically finding a way to maneuver or position yourself in such a way that you don't take damage.
So, like with a fireball, you're jumping 20 feet in the air.
Well, no, but the reason I would say is that instead of taking no damage, you still take some damage, is that even if you were at the heart of a fireball and it, exploded, you could still position yourself in a way to take not as much damage as
The fireball goes around corners.
Well, that doesn't matter because you're just trying to protect your vital organs. That's the whole point. You're just trying to protect. You're trying to protect the parts of you that you're trying to protect the parts of you that would get hurt the most by it, which is why evasion would still technically work, but it would take some damage instead of just no damage.
Yeah.
I don't know what the percentage of that would be. That would be up to the DM, which is
say
what 5e tells you to do. But in this case, it really should be up to the DM because, that's just a personal preference at that point. Anyways, disregarding D&D, what else have you been up to? Unless
I
you
don't want
want
to
done ranting about 5e.
I want to continue ranting about 5e.
Well, we'll make a separate podcast called Ranting About 5e, and we'll talk about it there because we've already gone probably.
And it will become far more popular than this one for no reason.
Because we've already been going for an hour and we haven't even gotten past the preliminaries.
I can continue ranting about 5e.
Yes, I know, Matthew. So can I. Because there's a lot of things in it I don't like as well. Also, I just don't like Wizard of the Coast attitude. I will say, however, technically this shouldn't be
I don't like
news,
where
but
they're going.
Wizard of the Coast did announce, or at least
I don't like
say
giving
something about
all-
becoming their own corporate
Oh,
entity.
no.
So you know
Yeah.
how Wizard of the Coast is owned by, what is it? Hasbro. So they did mention at some point recently that they want to become their own corporate entity. They want to break off from Hasbro and become their own thing.
Once again.
Oh yeah, I forgot that was the case.
Yeah. Let's go back.
They want to do that. They're talks of doing it. So I don't know if they're going to go through with it fully or if they have already done it. But that's just a bit of weird news for that. Yeah. And if they do that, they don't have to worry about Hasbro just burying them.
I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't mind it. I'm not arguing.
Yeah.
Maybe they become better as a company.
That would require them to fire the people that are currently in charge.
Maybe that's part of their goal.
I highly doubt Hasbro is the one behind some of their recent decisions. Because why the fuck would they be? The only thing they care about is how much money Wizards of the Coast is making for them.
It's like, seriously, with Tasha's, it's really silly because it's like making too many class features into just feats.
All right then. Yeah, that was dumb. Anyways.
Yeah.
So Matthew, what else have you been up to this week outside of making stuff?
I turned on Minecraft for a few hours to work on a Minecraft map a little bit.
All right.
And then I went back to making Pokemon again.
All right.
Let's see. What other than D&D? What other than D&D? I could talk about a D&D campaign instead of D&D the system. That would help. That game's becoming even more anime.
I guess.
Or at least even more cinematic than it was.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it went from very D&D, well, not really very D&D. It's not a traditional D&D campaign to start with.
Mm-hmm.
To not D&D, well, it is still D&D system, but more cinematic. Wait. I need to catalog this. So I've been working on character designs a bit too. It's just I haven't worked on Don or Cleek's character designs because Elephant and Bird.
I mean, you already know what they look like.
I know, but drawing them.
Drawing Elephant
It's mostly
Whoa.
feathers. But also elephant trunk is an elephant trunk.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Don't forget the tusks,
Wow.
which
Can't wait for further
Loxodon
plot
have for some reason.
I have ways to prolong this campaign too.
You're already doing that just fine. We're
Yeah, but I have
probably
ways
gonna
to
die.
More. What did you say? Sir?
We're probably gonna die.
Well, you are technically going to die by the end of
Whatever.
it. Everyone's gonna die.
That's
That's just
life.
back. That's like the end game.
We're in the end game now.
No, you're not. You're 12% to the end game.
We're almost to the end game now.
You're nowhere near the end game.
We're somewhat close to the end game.
Possibly
now.
years away from the end game.
Well, I don't think.
Like in real time.
Well, I don't know how long this campaign is going. Okay, this is off topic.
But still,
little bit.
It doesn't
that
matter.
goes well, one of the characters is very low hit points. But he beat 2 enemies. It's concerning. Another of the characters is a robot.
Yes.
Yes, and then the other character is actually going about rationally.
Uh-huh.
And it's the most diplomatic of the characters, but also the most evil.
Right.
Impressively.
Hmm.
He's also the Birdman.
Right.
I don't
Anything
know what the
else?
JoJo reference is, but I know there is one.
Yeah.
And a Magic the Gathering reference regarding loading, ready, run of Birdman. Bird wizards.
Birdman.
It's a
Right.
bird wizard.
Bird.
Anyway,
Anything else?
let me think. Hold on. I have not done a lot of gaming.
All right.
We did not have a session on Friday.
Uh-huh.
Aaron, what have you been doing this week?
All right, then I'll take that as my cue.
Glad you asked.
Move on with this farce at this point.
So yeah, Aaron, what have you done this week? What games have you played?
Well, over the past week, once again, I have done very little, which is pretty standard at this point. I did play a bit of multiplayer games with my good friend Devin, who is here and didn't mention it.
Was that this week? That was
Yes,
this
it
week?
was. It was Sunday,
Oh.
remember? It was a week ago.
I do not remember. I'm sorry.
It's whatever.
I remember
Um,
doing it. I just don't remember it being a week ago. I thought it was longer.
Yeah.
It's been a really hard week, actually.
It's been a long month. I looked at the calendar recently and I was like, it's still February? What's going on? Like, I'm genuinely surprised that it's still only the second month of the year. It's ridiculous. Feels like we're already like 3/3 of the way through the year, which I guess would put us in the back half of the year because there's 4 quarters of the year. Anyways, that doesn't matter. But yes, I did do that. Had a fun time. Beat him the whole time because he doesn't play video games and he got frustrated.
You didn't. What?
You got frustrated at your lack of ability
I
to
went
play.
over to your house and played video games.
Yes, the Sunday,
Wow.
remember?
I remember that now. I thought you were talking about when we did Bed Wars together. When was that? That was not yesterday or a week ago.
No,
That
it
was
wasn't.
the
That
second.
was several.
Thank goodness. Yeah,
When-
that was like 4 weeks ago. Okay.
Whatever, doesn't matter. But yes, that played multiplayer video games at my house with this man.
I got my butt kicked.
Yes, because he doesn't play video games and he got frustrated that he wasn't good at it.
No. What
Sounds
was
like
the
a
video-
yes?
There was a game. What was the game that I was frustrated about? I'm trying to remember. It was like, what was the game?
You played Mario Kart.
Mario Kart, was it Mario Kart? Oh,
Souls.
yeah, I Mario Kart. I get frustrated at Mario Kart.
I know. I was there. I
You
witnessed
do
it
Minecraft
live.
parkour, but every now and then your character just doesn't turn for some reason.
It's because you were using automatic. Or it's because you don't know how to drift and we're pressing the brake button.
I don't know what I'm doing. I get it.
No. Anyways. Yeah, I did that. What else? We played Mario Kart and Enter the Gungeon a little bit. No, we didn't do that. What did we do? We didn't play Enter the Gungeon. We did that a while ago. What was the other game? Kirby something. I don't remember. It was a Kirby game. I think it was. It doesn't matter. Yes, that I did that. That was really the only gaming stuff I did. I played some Rising Revengeance, Metal Gear Rising Revengeance specifically, as well, because I just enjoy that game. And I believe that's all I did for gaming per se. I don't have money, nor do I have a PS5. So Elden Ring, I have not played, but I know it's out. And I was thinking about talking about it this episode, but it was only going to be me, and I don't have a lot to say about it other than I want to play it. So I decided to leave that out. And yeah,
I'm actually
continued.
kind of interested about Elden Ring 2, by the way.
What?
I'm actually kind of interested about Elden Ring as well, surprisingly.
Oh, like not the number 2. I was confused.
Yeah, they're already making a sequel.
I mean, yeah, you could play it. It's on the computers. the computers,
But is it on Mac?
Probably. I mean, I don't know. If you have the specs for it, you could probably get it for Mac. There's a lot of games that are compatible with Mac because Steam is. I don't know. But yeah, that's basically it for me. I live a very boring life, as I said before. I even titled an episode it "My Boring Life." Remember? Yes.
Did?
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the episodes is called "My Boring Life," and then there's another thing, but I don't remember what it is.
Making food, so I'll be off screen.
Right.
And I'll unmute.
Man, my memory is terrible. This is why I forget things in the middle of saying them, as you can tell from earlier. Racking brain. Yeah, that's about it. I just played those games and thought a lot. I don't know. I haven't written anything down, but I have sort of like the thought process of a game or something I want to make, a story, I guess, just something that I want to get out at some point, but I'm just, I don't know, lack the motivation, I guess, is the good word for it. There's something in my head that I want to get out, but I just kind of lack the motivation to do so.
Here, let me motivate you. Do it.
Oh, that's great motivation. Now I'm definitely going to do it. Yeah, I kind of want to do it.
The motivation, or do you have too many opportunities? Sorry.
What? Continue. Okay, go ahead.
Motivation, or is it that you have an easy opportunity, an easier choice? Because I noticed this when I was sitting down to write the other day, I was like, oh, I don't actually really want to write. And then I looked over and I was like, you know what? If I do 100 push-ups right now, then I won't write. And then I was like, no, I'd rather write. And then I went back and I started writing.
I mean,
because I gave myself a choice. It's like, you could do this or you could do that.
Hey, call dad.
And so if you're what? Oh, call dad. Okay.
Yeah, I get that, but disappear. Wow. Well, it looks like I'm just talking to. It's fine. It's fine.
I can sit here for a little bit.
What? I'm just gonna continue with my topic. But no, yeah, I have there's something I want to get out. There's a story in my head that I want to get out. And I don't really care what form it takes at this point. Like, it could either be a book, it could be a video game, it could be a visual novel, it could literally just be like, I could literally just put it through RPG Maker if I wanted to, which I might. I don't know. I just kind of lack the motivation to go through with it. I will hopefully do it at some point, but it's and also I know Devin isn't here, but to answer his question, I don't think it's because I have an easier. Well, it technically is because I have an easier choice, but it's not related to like, I could just keep sitting here or do work. It's more like a larger problem that is related to an easier choice, just based on like my mental, I don't know, I was gonna say my mental aptitude, but that doesn't make sense, nor is it relevant to what I'm talking about. Just how I think. I get, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm looking for the word. It's coming to sure. Yeah, but just my thought process, I guess. I don't know. It's a larger thing than just like having a choice between doing something easy and doing something hard, or doing something that I want to do but lack the motivation to do. But you get it. This isn't really relevant. I mean, it is relevant because it's what I've been doing this week, because that's just what I do. I just think in my own head like some kind of crazy fucking person and rarely do much else, because that's all I do. I don't know. I mean, I do other things. It's just that's a large majority of what I do. Yeah.
Good to have.
I guess it's a good problem to have, considering, yeah. There's no point in me going into like detail of what my story or idea thing is, because like I don't even know if it'll exist, and I highly doubt the people that watch this podcast care that much about it. I don't know, maybe they do, it doesn't matter. But yeah, other than that, I mean, I've also been thinking about doing scripts and stuff for videos, which, like I said, is sort of similar problem, but on a different scale. And yeah, that's kind of all I've been doing this week. Been taking care of cats, still rambunctious kittens. They aren't even fucking a year old yet. Rambunctious kittens who are never satisfied with their playtime. Yes. Yeah. That's all I have to say, and I'm going to just. We'll be right back. Yes, hello, welcome back. Sorry about that pause. Devin was gone longer than I expected, so we're back to it. And while you were gone, I did finish up my sort of piece on what I was doing this week. So, unless you had something more to comment about it, we can just move on. Stop. No, don't do that. I know my headphone cord is nice looking, but don't play with it. You were saying something though, Devin.
Was I?
It doesn't matter.
I was saying something about motivation. Yeah, I've learned that the biggest thing that motivates people to do things outside of habit, or the biggest thing that gets you actually started on things,
It's
is
threatening.
not having the opportunity to do other stuff. What?
It's threatening.
No. Unless there's a habit built up, it's just simply because like I've there's various things that I'm like, I'd like to do this. I'd like to work on a script, and then I work on a script, and you know what happens? It's really fun, and you know what happens? I want to make the script, and then I realize, oh crap, I need a cameraman. Because I'll add certain things into the script where I could do it without a cameraman, but it wouldn't look as good.
Yeah,
it would look really bad.
I get you.
And then if I actually had a cameraman, it would work. And Matthew is a coward who doesn't have time.
It's It's one way of putting it.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, but if I feel like I'd be if I had gone to college and made a bunch of college friends, which I did go to college and I didn't make a bunch of college friends. But
So
if
clearly
I did,
that it wasn't the case.
I know, but if I were if I had gone to theater college like Talon, if I were in Talon's position, I would
Theater.
very likely have filmed a short movie thing right now, and it would be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, I did other stuff.
I mean, that's
I have a
fine.
very simple solution for you. Invent a time machine, invent a body swap machine, swap bodies with Talon, go back in Talon's
No.
past.
Matthew, the solution is to just ask Talon if he'll be the actor for the script.
No, mine's much simpler.
No. Ask Talon if him and his friends will help.
There's also an
Inventing
even
time travel and
pay
swapping
them.
consciousnesses is much simpler.
yeah,
No.
obviously. Press the wrong button there, didn't you? All right then. But yeah, I mean, I get it. It's just, I guess I already said this, but it isn't to do with an easier choice. There are definitely certain things in my life where it's like, the easier option is just to not do it, so I won't do it. There are definitely certain things like that in my life because I'm
Not just that.
inherently kind of a lazy and procrastinating person. It's just
it's not
what happened based
not
on my
just-
upbringing.
It's not just that the lazy option that it's choosing not to do it. It's that there's other stuff that you do. Like with me, when I jump on my computer, my first instinct isn't to start writing. My third instinct isn't even to start writing. And so I have all these other things that I'll do before I'll even think about starting writing.
Yeah.
I'm also like this with writing, by the way. I haven't written in like a week because I've been doing other stuff and telling myself I should.
I get you. Yeah, like I said, it's definitely things like that in my life where it's the easier option is just to not do it, and I'll take that option because, unfortunately, not to call out anybody in particular, but I wasn't exactly scolded for not doing anything. So I have don't step on me like that. That's gonna hurt real bad. So unfortunately, I grew up in an environment, and I don't blame anybody in particular for this. It's just the way it happened. I grew up in an environment where I wasn't really forced into anything, and I was given a lot of leeway. So I have this perception of just, letting things be as they may because nothing's going to happen if I don't do it,
Well,
It's like there's nothing, like if I don't do it, nothing's going to happen. And that was just the thing that was instilled into me. It's like there's no consequence for me not doing this, so I might as well not do it. That's that's basically how I got out of school. Somebody told me I didn't have to do school, and I said, you know what, I don't have to do it. That's a really stupid reason to get out of school, but that's what happened. After my 1 year of being schooled, somebody told me I didn't have to do it, and I fucking didn't.
Bad choice.
Like if somebody had not told me that, or even just forced me to continue to go back, I would have, because I
liked it.
Well, I don't know. I might have liked school. I am a introvert, but I'm a generally sociable person who can make friends quickly by just talking to people. Like I'm fairly good at talking to people. I'm bad. Okay, I'm bad at small talk. I'm good at conversations. Small talk is awful because I just have to.
Yeah.
Like small talk I don't like because it's just like, yes, the weather's nice, whatever, because it's this small topic that you can't go into any depth on, and you're just doing this to not make an awkward silence with the cashier while you're buying things. I don't like small talk, and I'm not good at it. Conversations I'm very good at, and I can go into very easily, like with any random person. As long as I have like an in into like them, I can get into a conversation. Like if they mention something, it's like, oh, I know about that, or they just have something that's brought up, or just something random, I can go into a conversation. I also have a bad habit of overshare, Because I don't have a filter with people, and I tend to overshare by accident. Not like dangerous things. It's just like, oh, things.
Oh yes, and then I took the knife and
things a random person don't really need to know. It's the type of overshare. It's like, oh, I didn't need to know what you had for breakfast this morning, but I guess I know now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where was I going with this? Anyways, yeah, school. I probably would have done fine in school just because of that reason. It's like I'm a generally sociable person who can get into conversation fine and isn't like, I'm not. For a long time, I thought I was shy of people. I'm not shy of people. I'm just scared of wasting other people's time, which is also why I'm bad at small talk or just going or like doing certain things, because I don't want to feel like I'm wasting another person's time. What?
Why do both you and Devin both have anxiety about time?
I don't know, because we're from the same generation, probably. We were born on Y2K, man.
Explain to me why I don't have this then.
Because you weren't born on Y2K when the time crisis happened. You know about the Y2K disaster, right?
When did it happen?
Y2K, year 2000. It was. You remember? Do you not know about the Y2K freak out?
No.
It was basically like everybody was freaked out that like something horrible was going to happen because computers were keeping track of time by listing the.
It was that like the world's gonna end thing or something.
Like there was this like it wasn't the world was gonna end. It was like people were like unsure of what was gonna happen because like computers were keeping track of time where they're like date wise it was going to read as like they were reading the last number, and then when 2000 hit it was gonna read as 00, and they weren't sure how that was gonna the computers were gonna handle that or even, and so there was this whole like weird. It was like a mini scare mixed with like a bunch of other stuff at the time, and there's a lot of media around the Y2K disaster. Well, it wasn't a disaster, the Y2K scare rather.
Ow.
Anyways, the reason I brought it up as a joke is because the two people who are scared of time happen to be born at a year where people were scared of time.
Yeah, maybe that is why.
Anyways,
although Devin's is worse.
I don't know what his fear of time is. I don't necessarily have a fear. I don't have a fear of time specifically. I'm just scared. I don't like my time being wasted. I would like to think I'm somewhat efficient to a fault sometimes. I don't like doing things. Oh, it's weird. I don't like doing things over and over again in like my daily life, but I'll retry video games as many times as it takes. Like video games are the exception to that rule of like, I'll retry a boss in a video game like a million times until I do it. But in like standard everyday life, I don't like doing things multiple times or redoing things. Like to the point of like, when I take in groceries from the car, I don't like taking more than one trip to do it. I try and do it in one trip because I don't want to go back outside and pick up the rest. I've always tried to do it in one trip. I've always tried to do a lot of things on the first try.
For me,
and not like redo it or waste my time. You know?
Yeah, I don't have the time wasting thing. I just have a fear of the dark when I'm
so it's
alone.
Like I don't personally like my time being wasted. Even though I know from a sociable level it doesn't make sense to worry about wasting other people's time. It's just something I have. So it's not that I'm shy about people. I'm usually short with people because I don't want to feel like I'm wasting people's time.
Explains both of you in texting.
Well, with texting, with texting, it's not because I'm short with people. It's because it's really hard for me to express myself through the use of text, which is why I like cell phone calls or just talking to people in person.
Yeah,
it's really hard for me to express myself through, text.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not just myself, just my opinion. I don't know. I always second guess the way I word things. It's really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I don't know if I should have worded it like that. Does that really get my point across? What if they take it the wrong way?
Yeah, I know.
That's what I
It's
think
always
about.
I think because you have to be really careful because
Yeah.
how you actually sound when you're saying it is not how people read it usually.
Yeah, it fucking sucks. Anyways,
But
so yeah,
on the topic of when you were saying
yes.
about boredom, it reminded me of a time like you were never really told do this, that sort of thing, right? Is basically what you were saying.
Well, I wasn't for it. Like, basically, what I'm saying is that,
Yeah, you weren't
and not to
for-
call out any, like, listen, I love my parents.
Yeah.
Well, the one I have. Well, I'm kind of indifferent to the other. It doesn't really matter. But I do kind of wish that I was, I had a more strict parental figure, or was forced to do more things as a child, because it's and this kind of happened with all of us. It gave us this weird, like, like we didn't do anything. Like,
our parents actually did kind of force us to do some things.
well, like, you don't have a situation where we'll have okay, so something like, okay, we're asked to do something, we don't do it. What happens? It gets done anyway, because
mom starts counting down to 1 and we don't want to know what happens at 1. So we start doing it.
Is that the problem is that okay, not more strict, just I wish I had a stronger willed parental figure, because
yeah, our parents were fine on that.
They cracked real easy.
No, that's just dad.
Like, they would, like, oh, you want me to clean the dishes? All right. I doesn't do them, and they get done by the parent anyways, because they need them done, because they want them done. Like, the parental figure wants them done,
that's more
because
like,
they don't want them there. But they don't want to do it themselves because they're tired and or busy. But because they don't get done by the children, they have to do it anyways because they want it done regardless. And obviously, probably should have been stronger willed in that.
So, yeah, we didn't, but Devin and I didn't really have that.
Yes, I know. That's why you do things. Anyways, and obviously, like I said, I don't blame anybody. I had a fine childhood. Also, I can
also drag you out.
I also get that my parents.
You don't have a problem with that.
Went through a lot of stress, because of a lot of the things in their life. I understand. I don't blame them for any of it. I just wish that I was forced into more things as a kid.
Yeah. But what it reminded me of.
Because when you're old and more stubborn, it's harder to get pushed into things.
Exactly.
The older you get, the more stubborn you are.
So what you're saying is I should be strong-willed and force you to do things.
Exactly.
No.
Yes. No, yes, I'm going to do that.
No, I'm actually serious about this.
Yes. The things you'll want to do, Aaron, things that you already want to do. That's what I mean. I'm going to force you to do things that
anyways, aside from that's just explaining.
I'm not going to force you to be my cameraman.
Specifically,
very convenient and nice.
The thing I said specifically is the reason I brought it up is because it explains the reason why I'm kind of lazy and a procrastinator, because there's no fallout from me not doing anything. That was the whole point. That's why I'm like that. But in regards to the story I was talking about earlier, the thing I want to do is that the thing stopping me from doing it is not just like there being an easier choice. It's partly because of that, but it's not because I'm lazy. It's because it's not in that regard, it's not that the easier choice is doing nothing. It's like a different scale of choice. It's on like what did I say earlier? I explained it better earlier. It's in a different category of it's not necessarily that there's an easier choice. It's just that I like the motivation to do it because of the what is it? I don't know. You get it. It's just it's not specifically related to just having different
Yeah.
things to do. It is more related to lack of motivation in regards to that, not just because of my laziness and procrastination, though.
Yeah.
Anyways,
That whole thing reminded me of a time when we were outside. I don't remember what we were doing. I think Devin and Dad were throwing a frisbee. It was before our yard had a garden. So it was just a barren wasteland. It was a tree and a bench and a picnic table right here. And I didn't want to throw the frisbee, so I was just very bored sitting on the seat. And then from then on, I was like, I don't want to be bored. It's boring being bored, and getting bored makes me more bored. And being bored is boring, and boring is boring. So it just goes into an infinite cycle, and I'm like, I don't want to do that.
Right.
It just reminded me of that for some reason.
All right then. But yes. So that's what I've been doing this week. I don't know. That was a weird rant to go on, but yes. That's what I've been doing this week. You heard me. I don't need to explain it again. Yeah, I don't know. What are you doing, Devin?
Responding to someone.
Right. Well, that's it for what we've been doing this week, I think, because I'm pretty sure I explained what I was doing, and I think everybody else is going fine, unless more conversation should be had, because holy shit, we've gone so long now, but that's fine. You know what? Fuck it. We'll just have like a 5-hour episode today. It'll be great. We'll probably get through these last things pretty quickly, though, because, you know. Anyways, moving on to trailers, because that's the thing that's next, remember? Because we're a gaming podcast. And we were just talking about what we were doing this week, and now we're moving on to trailers, you know? It's funny how that is the case, and it appears that both of my co-hosts are in their own worlds, I'll say.
No.
All right, good to know. Trailers, because gaming podcast, remember?
Yep, I'm back.
Yes, where's Matthew?
I don't know.
All right, so like I said, that's the movie trailers.
Sorry.
No, it's not you.
Yes.
I'm just repeating myself again, and I hate it when I do that because it's just so stupid. Trailers. So like I said at the beginning of this, probably going to be 3-hour episode, possibly 4, who knows, is that we have 3 trailers today, which the first one of which is the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge trailer that was shown at the IGN Game Fest.
Trailer.
What?
Trailer.
Well, it's a gameplay trailer. It shows a bunch of gameplay. Specifically speaking, so first of all, I will read the description of this. So, Turtle Power, Michelangelo, Leonardo, Donatello, and Raphael are back, and this time they're joined by April, Neil, and Splinter. His very first look, blah blah, gameplay from Team Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shredder's Revenge, along with the exclusive debut of all new levels. So they're showing sort of some of the stuff they've probably shown before, plus an all new level that they have not shown, and it's showing some of the general gameplay because it's more of like a gameplay overview rather than like a general trailer. But yeah. So obviously, this is the newest in the line of the TMNT side-scrolling beat 'em up games. I say newest as if it's like a recent series. I'm pretty sure a game in this series hasn't been made since like the 90s, but it's in that style of, especially like TMNT 4 Turtles in Time, especially that one. But yeah, same basic stuff from there. You have your dive kicks. You have your combos and stuff determined by what turtle you play. But on top of that, as I said before, you are now joined by both Splinter and April O'Neil, which is very interesting and new. So now you can play as both the master of the turtles, their teacher, and April O'Neil, who is a banana suit wearing reporter who attacks people. She doesn't literally wear a banana suit, but her suit is banana colored. So, yeah, it's I guess you could say it's your standard beat 'em up affair. You have your special move, sort of. You have your special screen clearing moves, your combos and dive kicks and stuff like that. Lots of cool stuff from the TMNT franchise being shown, getting beaten up. What was the one thing else I wanted to say? Oh, yes. Also, on top of that, obviously, the art style is freaking gorgeous. Like, it's genuinely really well animated. It's very cartoony. The impacts are, like, nice and heavy from the characters. Lots of cool animations from both the enemies and the characters. It is pixel animation, but it's like super duper smooth. Like it's super smooth. It almost looks like just general, like non-pixel animation, but it's super nice looking. And yeah,
it looks like gameplay.
Yeah, you said you watched some of these, so what are your opinions on this?
It looked like a game. It reminded me a lot of, I mean, it looks like the kind of game that I would not play because if I start playing it, I get dizzy. But also the kind of game that, like, if I watch someone who really knows what they're doing play it, I'm just like, yes, because I can follow them playing it, but I cannot play it and also follow what's happening. It looks too busy for my poor little brain.
Right.
However, it does look like a game that you could build up a lot of skill at. And if I had started playing it when I was younger, I might enjoy it.
Yeah, I get you.
I started playing that type of game when I was younger.
Beat 'em ups.
Yeah. It reminds me a whole lot of an old Star Wars game that we used to play. Speaking of, it doesn't remind me as much as another one, but it does remind. Like,
are you talking about Super Star Wars?
I think it might have been called Super Star Wars. Yeah, Super Star Wars.
Yeah, the ones on the NES that are side scrolling.
Yeah,
kind of beat 'em up / shooters.
Yeah, where you play as Obi-Wan and Anakin, and you.
Oh, those.
Yeah, those.
For some reason, my brain evacuated that from my mind. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, yes, I played them on the Game Boy. They were a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, those are the ones on the Game Boy Advance for Episode 3. Those are side-scrolling beat 'em ups, like by the very definition.
Yeah,
and they have combos, they have attacks and stuff, like, that fits the general vibe of it, even if it is licensed in Star Wars.
Some parts where they shoot a bunch of lasers at you was really unfair.
Yeah.
And stupid.
It was hard. It was a hard game to win. And actually, there was one boss that we couldn't figure out how to beat him for the longest time because you have to do an up attack in order to hit him. So we just like waited there, blocked and dodged and waited and blocked and dodged. Yeah. We're just like, how do we hurt this guy? Walk up, swing our lightsaber completely uselessly. How do we beat this guy?
Yeah.
Like, wait, if we swing like this while underneath him, and then the graphic showed us swinging, and I was like, that's not actually gonna, and it worked. And I was like, what? We're hitting a ship because the ship went down into our lightsaber range, and so we can hit it.
Yeah, or you could probably jump and hit.
I think attack. You also have to force push its bombs back into it. I think I did that in order to kill it the first time before I realized you could hit it.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun. We played that game multiple times. That's one of the things with the old games. I think they stick with me more because I played them multiple times. And these modern games, I feel like people don't have the time to play them multiple times because by the time they finish this really long game, there's another game out.
Yeah, that's why a lot of people, especially like older gamers, look for smaller experiences and not like massive open worlds that take like 80 hours to play.
Yeah.
A lot like I'm the same. Like, I don't even have a lot going on in my life, and I'm okay, and I kind of search for those experiences because I what's the term? Like, I want them to exist, not just because, of the time constraint, but also because, like, I know, objectively speaking, they can be better than longer, more bloated video games. Like, like, I would rather have a good, like, 5 to 9 hour experience rather than something that is probably pretty good but lasts for like 80 hours,
Yeah.
And like, obviously there are games that are semi-exempt to this rule just based on like their genre, like 100-hour JRPGs and stuff like that. But like, you can still get that kind of experience in a smaller form. It's just JRPGs tend to be really long just based on story alone, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, once you build a big world, you've got to spend 4 million years in it.
Yeah, it's the thing. But yeah, it's. I mean, like,
I think Skyrim is one of the few open world games I'd probably play.
Mm-hmm.
I really like.
Well,
Skyrim.
You've played Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild is an open world game.
Yeah, I really like those games because they partly because they're so intuitive on how to do things in them.
Mm-hmm.
And partly because
falls off
like,
cliff.
Yeah, that happened to everyone.
It didn't happen.
Literally, it's just like, oh, is there a barrier that stops me? Oh, I died.
It happened to people who have never played an open world game before.
Oh, really?
Like, you say it happened to everybody. It happened to the people you know.
Okay.
I can guarantee you most people who had already played at least one open world game already knew that there wasn't going to be a barrier there.
I have played open world games.
Especially since that was basically the entire advertisement for the game, is that you could go anywhere.
If I remember correctly, I was just curious if they'd let you walk off the cliff. And I was like, I think they will.
Yeah.
I'm
I don't
sure
remember
there
though.
are people who've walked off of cliffs. I'm sure.
I did it for an experiment.
Uh-huh.
Devin did it because he didn't realize it would drop him off.
I mean, it's whatever. I mean, it's. Continue with your point before I rudely interrupted by mocking you.
Yeah.
You were saying about open world games, Skyrim specifically.
I don't.
I guess that you were just saying that's one of the ones you've played. Anyways, speaking of like smaller experiences, is that obviously this game is your classic side-scrolling beat 'em up, and it'll probably won't even break like the 6-hour mark. Like, I highly doubt it's any longer than that, because you can't have a game that's like this that lasts that long. It's just, I mean, it's possible, but at some point it's going to overstay its welcome.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for this, not just because I am a massive Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan and do not get to express that very much, because everything turtle related for me personally wasn't really my thing for a while. But yeah, I mean, this is the classic designs from either the comic books or the 80s television show. Actually, it's just the 80s television show. Yeah, classic designs for everybody involved. And I'm quite happy and excited about that. What?
Can't very easily talk right now.
Okay. Oh, purring cat. I see.
Sharp claws.
Right.
You're a little noisy over here.
What is
I
that
hear-
sound?
My keyboard. Leland's sitting on it.
Oh,
I see.
Now he
Well, yeah.
I was like, what does that sound? It's like,
Oh yeah. The other reason I buy for like shorter experiences, just going off of what I said before, is because the video game, I've complained about this many times before on the podcast or otherwise, is that the video game industry has a spending problem when it comes to making video games.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it has to do with advertising, to be fair, but a lot of it also goes into video games. But I know for a fact that doesn't have to be the case. And also, because that's the other thing, people have been like the standard quote unquote of price for video games is like $60. That wasn't always the case. It got raised to $60, and now the games industry is trying to raise it to $70.
Wow.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But like, I know games don't have to be that expensive, nor do I think and know for a fact that games don't have to be that expensive to make. The reason they are expensive is because game companies, especially publishers, like to overspend and make huge, humongous experiences that they can keep bringing people back into.
Hey, am I muted or unmuted?
You're unmuted. You can continue.
Awesome.
That they continue
So I
bringing
can't
people
get
back
to the
into
Steam screen.
for more and more of their own money.
Yeah.
And it's just,
Well, it's like with, I was about to say it's like military spending. I wonder if it is like military spending.
well, not as bad, especially on the grandstand of things, because it's video games and not the military. But just in terms of like actual spending, like the end product most of the time is technically good and massive and stuff, but it has created this weird, like, what's the term? It's created this weird, like, what's the word? Want, I guess, in the games industry for like more equal, like, oh, that's right. Time. No, what is it called? The amount of money you spend. There's this attitude that has sort of popped up over the recent years, is that the amount of money you spend on it should somehow equate to how much time you spend in it.
Oh.
Like, it's this idea that
that's horrible.
It's this idea that, like, I'm paying this much for the game, so I better get like 80 hours out of this thing or something like that.
My.
And it's this bad mindset that I've seen not just like companies push, because obviously it's good for them, but like actual like consumers or gamers push in like, oh, I want more hours of this game. They want something, they want quantity. That's what they want, quantity over quality. Which we have been provided with for the past like 10 years at this point, I would argue. And like, I don't agree with that sentiment, because it just makes games more expensive than they should be. Not only in like the like personal price that a person spends on them, but the amount of money a company spends on it. It's just ridiculous how much money goes into something sometimes.
It is.
And it doesn't matter, because it's just like you could make just as much money without spending as much making smaller experiences.
Yeah.
And they would be better in quality, and it would be better for the developers because they don't have to work as hard or long to get it done.
But if it's more, I don't even know. That doesn't actually make sense. I was going to say, but there's more opportunity to fail. Yeah, there's more opportunity to fail, but you're not putting all of your eggs in one basket. So it's not. I don't even know.
Also, not to mention that some companies have stopped doing this. Probably not a lot of them. I know at least a few of them have. But crunch is still pretty rampant within the gaming industry, even if it is like a red mark on you at this point if people know about it.
Okay.
But it is still pretty rampant. And the fact that, companies haven't figured out that forcing your employees to burn the candle at both ends, forcing them to sometimes sleep at their offices to get it done and wake up there and get it done, makes them, not as productive and not as good at their job.
Seems reasonable.
It's like, oh, I wonder why our production has gone down and the product we're making has gotten worse. It can't possibly be to the fact that we're making these people do hundreds of hours of crunch that we're not even paying them for. Can't possibly be due to that. Anyways, that was a small rant, not even relevant to TMNT, but it is why I vie for smaller, more personal experiences because they cost less and they are less effort both on the consumer and on the developer. Because it is quality over quantity. Anyways, yes. Anything more to say about TMNT before we move on? All right, cool. Just one last thing. We don't have a release date for this as of yet. We've just seen more gameplay and stuff for it, so we do not know when it will be released. I am getting a phone call. This is not a good time. Hold on one moment. This has been going on for too long. We'll be right back.
How dare you?
Hello. Well, welcome back. Ooh.
Welcome back to the podcast.
Yeah, sorry about that. I got a phone call from my parent of origin.
What does that mean?
I don't know. Let's leave it at that. Anyways, TMNT looks super good. I'm very excited for it. And my rant about the industry is done. Let's move on to the next trailer, shall we? If we're done.
Is your rant done, though?
Matthew, did you even give your opinion on the game?
No, I was doing something else.
Well, give me a quick opinion.
It was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one?
Yes.
Yeah, it looks fine.
Cool. Moving on.
Looks meh overall.
All right.
Like for play. I'm sure a lot of other people will really enjoy it. It does look really pretty though.
Yeah, its sprite work is fantastic. I love. If there's one thing I love most about like modern games that use 2D, it's the sprite work. Like I just love how good the sprite work is now. I love that we've reached a point that sprite work can look so good. Anyways, moving on to the next game in our batch is the Itorah official gameplay trailer. So this is a side-scrolling platformer. I hate to use the term Dark Souls like because I feel like I've explained my dislike for just calling using a game as like Dark Souls like or something like that, you know what I mean. But I guess I kind of have to use that just because at this point Dark Souls like is its own genre, unfortunately. So it is a quote unquote Dark Souls like in that it has not necessarily slow paced combat, but it has a dodge roll, it has jumps and attacks. Your general, like, it's very Salt and Sanctuary-esque in that regard as well, if you've played that. Not like by the art style, which is a pixelated art style once again, but as I said earlier, I love modern sprite work. It just looks so good now. Sorry. Stupid distractions. Why now? Why now of all times? There we go. I think that's what it was. Anyways, but yes, Itorah. Itorah takes place on an unforgettable journey, challenging us to explore the mysterious world of Nahukan. Here's another look at this 2.5D. So here's something super interesting about it is Mesoamerican influenced side-scrolling platformer, which will release on March 21st of this year. So that's another actually cool thing about modern gaming to me is that we're getting a lot of like experiences that we've never, well, we probably have, but like Mesoamerican inspired stuff. Like we're looking at last week we were looking, not last week, but like, I guess last week we were also looking at Warm Snow, which is like Chinese inspired or what have you. And then also like a while ago we were looking at Scabma, which is like Northern European like tribes and stuff. So like I enjoy that there's like a lot of variety in the indie sphere at this point, in both terms of like representation and experience. I enjoy that now. It's very cool. But game wise, not just like the inspiration, game wise, it claims to be 2.5D which in the trailer itself I don't really see. It just kind of looks like a 2D game. Like it doesn't exemplify 2.5D to me, but it looks like mostly a 2D game that has, good foreground and background elements, which I guess it doesn't really ring 2.5D to me, but that's what they're calling it, so I don't know. But yeah. Oh yeah. Also, going further with the Souls-like comparison is that you have a stamina meter by the looks of it. You have a health meter. You can run, jump, swing your battle axe, I think it is, and attack all these very very interesting looking design creatures. It's, I suppose it doesn't really do anything like that over the top as far as this genre now is concerned, but I mean, it looks good. It looks like it's doing its job, which is more than I can say for some games, to be fair. But yeah, what are your thoughts on it? Yes, no?
Trying to find
Really
one
pretty
now.
game? We're talking about a really pretty game, right?
Yeah, Itorah.
Yeah. I want to actually play
I
that.
think it's very
I just realized I've been mispronouncing the title. It's Itorah. I've been calling it Itorah.
See, it looks very pretty and very
I was replacing the A and the O.
It looks pretty and looks kind of similar to Hollow Knight, which makes me think I probably won't enjoy it.
That is another game that it might be similar to. I don't think it's not a Metroidvania though. I think it's more platformer. So it's not like it calls itself a platformer, which makes me think that it's more level based than it is like Metroidvania based. So you aren't like going to the same areas over and over again.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Too many game genres.
At least it doesn't look like that to me. Anyways, it's Itorah and not Itero. Itorah. Itorah. And yeah, it looks very nice. What about you, Devin?
Yeah, it's really pretty. I actually want to play that.
All right. Well, just to let you all know, it is coming to PC via Steam and GOG.
Is it gonna be on Mac?
Probably. I don't know. It depends.
No.
It will probably have Mac support.
Yes.
Actually, if it's coming to GOG, which is, for those of you who don't know, goodoldgames.com, which is a site dedicated to preserving both old games and also releasing content without any DRM free content. So you can pick it up on GOG or Steam. And if you pick it up on GOG, there's probably a higher likelihood that it'll have the support for the computer that you have that I can't remember the name of.
Mac.
Yeah, Mac. I couldn't remember what it was called. There's a higher likelihood that it'll have support for Mac, is what I was trying to say.
That's good.
Anyways, but yes, that is Itorah. Looks very good. Game by Grimbrat Pals, Assemble, GOG, Steam, all that good stuff. And like I said, coming out March.
It has a bad name, but it has a really good
Itorah.
Yeah, bad name.
I don't even know if that's how you pronounce it.
Aaron, if you close your eyes, you can't spell it. I mean, you're reading it, but if I closed my eyes, I would not be able to tell you how to spell it. And so if I wanted to Google search this game or tell my friend about this game, it'd be hard to remember. It's sad because it's like Valheim. It looks like it might be like Valheim, where like after people play it a little bit, they're like, whoa, this is really good. And they want to talk about it.
I spelled it on my first attempt without looking at it.
Torah.
I mean, it's not necessarily hard.
I had to double check, but
look, I just looked it up. I got, what the heck did I get? Oh, I'm getting, aha. I don't know how to spell it. I'm getting.
Hey, once you've spelled enough,
it's Itorah. Itorah.
Yeah, like Aaron, You and I have named a lot of places completely ridiculous things that take a lot of complicated spellings.
Yeah.
So where are you?
You remember
Or rolling
Mariluella?
R's.
Matthew, do you remember Mariluella?
I don't really, but yeah, I remember that you did that at some point.
It was a super long, dumb name.
Yeah, things like that. Long names that are sometimes very hard to pronounce and hard to remember the spelling of.
Yes. I don't know. Like,
we're used to having to remember hard spelling.
I mean, I probably wouldn't remember it off the top of my head just because it's a bit of a weird word.
I mean, yeah.
But as you saw earlier, I was getting the O and A mixed up in my pronunciation, which is something I do occasionally. I have this habit of replacing A's with O's sometimes when I speak something.
Yes.
You know? And vice versa, rather. But yeah, so just to get like the general consensus that both of you think it's interesting and would want to play it. Is that what you said?
Yeah, it looks pretty, and it looks like. Here's the thing. The reason I didn't like Hollow Knight as much as most people did was not actually because I didn't enjoy the gameplay or the story or any of that. It's partly because the aesthetic was just a little bit monotone, I guess, almost. Where it's not that it's not a colorful setting, it's that the setting has a very specific color palette that it uses, and I just don't care for that. It's kind of funny.
I get that.
That's it. And it's weird.
You're the same way with Dark Souls.
Yeah, and Minecraft. The reason I like Minecraft is because it's all bright and colorful, and I hate movies where they're like, we're gonna be a serious movie. You don't get to see sunlight or flowers ever. And it's like, really? Yeah.
It reminds me of the Fantastic Four movie remake. Remember Four Stick, where they put the 4 in the middle of the Fantastic Four Stick? It reminds me of that because that thing's color palette was so washed out and like there was literally a scene of like a car driving through a patch of flowers on a sunny day, and it was like the most muted. It was like green, like it was yellow flowers, and it was so weird and muted and washed out. It looked like green. It was awful.
Yeah, washed out. I don't like colors that
like that bright sunny day was the color of puke. It was ridiculous. It looks terrible. And it's this movie that's trying to be super gritty and serious, and
yeah. And
so I do agree with you on that regard, but I also
post and moving to my phone.
Okay. Is your computer gonna die?
Nope, I'm getting picked up. I'll be right back.
Oh, okay then.
You guys continue.
We will. It's been a bit of a weird episode. We've had 2 cuts thanks to interruptions via phone calls, and we've been going for like 3 hours. I wonder how this is gonna do numbers wise.
We've been going for 3 hours.
We started at like a little over 4 or something.
Oh my gosh.
It was like 4 because we started the meeting like a little over 4:40, probably closer to 4:50. So like, and it's 7:20 now. You guys don't care about this. This is all in the recording now. You guys don't care, but we have been going for a while. So magic, I guessed how long the episode was going to be. YouTube comments are impressed by that for some reason. Be impressed. Yeah, but Itorah, continue. Itorah. God damn it, I did it again.
The color palette looks really good. I guess I'm just repeating that again. But like, from what I saw, it's not just that it has like vibrant colors and stuff. It reminds me of Terraria, and that's a game that I spent probably 100 hours in or something. I spent a really long time in that because I really liked the game. And if it feels if I decide to get it and I start playing and it feels like Terraria, like if I remember to get it.
I don't know if it'll feel like Terraria specifically, just because gameplay wise it's much different. But
yeah. Well, what I mean is in terms of like, because when playing Terraria, I didn't actually build stuff. I just went into combat constantly.
Well, that's what this game is.
I know. Should be fun.
Yeah. But yeah, I do agree, because that's what I was saying before Matthew interrupted me. It's you have the same thing with Dark Souls in regards to the color palette as well.
Yep.
So it's like I get it, and like I enjoy the color palette of Dark Souls because in between, because it is a lot of like dark, colors, but then between those moments there are very vibrant, colorful places, which is important for games like Dark Souls, because it's the vibe is very depressing to most people, so you have to have these bright pockets of color and life to sort of balance that out. It's like, oh, the world isn't completely gone, there are still people holding on to hope somewhere, that kind of stuff. So you do have to do stuff like that, and obviously since Hollow Knight is very heavily inspired by Dark Souls, at least in tone, not gameplay. It obviously takes views from that, because there are very colorful places in Hollow Knight as well. Even if, tonally it is very dark and drab. But yeah, I do agree with you on the vibrant colors, though. I do like a good, vibrant, stylistic game.
Nice.
Yeah. It's also just partially because, like, the color palette for games for I would say the first, I don't know, 6-7 years of like the quote unquote, I don't even like the PS3 and Xbox 360 generation of consoles specifically. For a long time, games weren't colorful because the games that were really popular were first-person shooters, which had the color palette of slime, or not slime, but you know what I mean. It's just very drab, pale-looking color palettes. So, like, it's a thing in games that have been occurring for. I'm getting another phone call. Be right back. That's the third phone call this episode. This is going to be the longest episode we've ever recorded, not just because of the phone calls, but also because we keep going off into tangents. But yes. I enjoy colorful experiences, and I enjoy color palettes, and Itorah, not Itero, Itorah does look very good, and I'm quite excited for it as well. And if money precedes me, which it might on this one, considering it's an indie game, I will play it. So that is that. Matthew is still not back. But that's fine. Let's just move on to the next thing without him. He's only going to say, it looks like a game. It's all he's going to say anyways. So, moving on to our final trailer of the day. I can't believe we're only technically halfway through our topics. Jesus. So moving on to our final trailer of the day, which is for Monster Crown. So Monster Crown is a sort of, so actually I'll just read this. So prepare to take a trip to Crown Island and begin your monster legacy. Trouble's brewing on the island, and it's up to you to save it. Forge pacts with monsters, breed them to create new species, and uncover the island's dark story as you go. Also, I forgot to say, this is the launch trailer for this game. This is the Monster Crown launch trailer. So this game is kind of like a mixture between Pokemon and Monster Rancher in terms of like gameplay. If you've ever played Monster Rancher, it's basically, well, you ranch a monster. You raise a monster from like birth or what have you, and then you train it and stuff, and you make it fight in like tournaments and stuff for like money or what have you. And the way you get monsters in that game is that you just put in CDs, and it'll give you a unique monster based on the CD you put in, which is very fun technology for the time. But yes, in terms of gameplay, it is Pokemon meets Monster Rancher.
Yeah,
because it has sort of turn-based, it looks like it has sort of turn-based RPG combat, and you're using monsters for the combat, but it's not, but you're breeding them and making them you're breeding to get new types of monsters, and it's Monster Rancher in terms of both the design of the monsters and also in terms of like how it goes about, like the gameplay for getting the monsters is similar to Monster Rancher.
Yeah. It looks like Pokemon.
Yes, I was going to get to that. In terms of,
I don't even know what it is. It's Pokemon, but it's better.
Graphically, it is
Pokemon.
very similar to first generation Pokemon.
Yes.
Both in terms of like, it is a pixelated top-down Game Boy style game, very much in the vein of first generation Pokemon. And the art style itself, like the art style that isn't pixelated, kind of reminds me of like first generation drawn Pokemon art style mixed with like Dragon Quest. Not Dragon Quest. No, it is Dragon Quest. Yeah. Mixed with like Dragon Quest. So this is a lot of things, both in style and substance. There's also sort of evolving as a concept. Like you can mid-battle do transformations to make the monster stronger. You know, stuff like that. And as I sort of said in the description of the sort of like what the game's about, like I don't know what the story of this game is. It's probably gonna be simple, just like good versus bad, possibly. I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah.
Very
It
interesting.
looks Pokemon. It looks like some people figured out how to make a Pokemon game without getting sued, and I love it.
I mean, yeah. It also is vaguely Digimon-esque, I would argue.
I mean, yeah. Well, okay, let me rephrase that. Make a Pokemon game that's not a Pokemon, because it looks like with the way the monster breeding works, it looks like it actually makes it so you can make your own monsters. I hope, because that would be really
because
cool.
you're breeding different monsters create unique monsters,
and that would be awesome.
Unique new species of monster, so you can use them against other monster tamers. So other monster tamers and other stuff like that.
Yeah. And that sounds fun.
I just realized there's literally a line in the trailer that says, because the trailer itself has like some guy talking over it, there's literally a line in the trailer that said monsters aren't interested in friendship or anything like that. It's like, I wonder what they're referring to. It can't possibly be Pokemon.
The number of times they said the word master in the trailer makes me think they're basing it off Pokemon.
Yeah, well, it's very obviously based off of Pokemon, like graphically and like gameplay wise. But from a conceptually, it's more closer to like I said, Monster Rancher and like other RPGs of sort of that era and similarity. Like conceptually, it's closer to Monster Rancher. But yeah, I mean, like excuse me. I guess I don't have a lot to say about it per se. It looks very good from a it does look very good, and I mean, I am very interested in it. So yeah,
it looks pretty good. I think depending on how accessible it is to play, I may or may not play it.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's very interesting, and I like the monster designs. It is very like, it's not Pokemon in terms of design, but it is its own sort of thing. Like, Pokemon designs kind of have this in like, you can tell when something is a Pokemon just based off its design. And it's kind of the same way you can tell something is a Digimon based off its design, because they have very distinct design philosophies. So this looks like it has very distinct design philosophies as well, even if like some of them look kind of Pokemon-esque. Yeah. But based on like the designs, it kind of looks like it's going more for sort of like RPG fantasy creatures. You know what I mean? Kind of like, you know how like JRPGs just have like sometimes weird looking creatures as monsters?
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, this is a Zorg. What is it? It's a Zorg, obviously. It's not based on any real animal, and it looks like this. So that's kind of what the feeling the monsters give me is. But yeah, and like I said, it was the launch trailer, so this is already out, and you can get it now on PC and Nintendo Switch. It will also launch on PlayStation, or rather, it has already launched on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, because that was for February 2nd, and it is now much later than that, as you can tell. But yes, you can get this now, and I don't know, I suggest you should, I guess. It looks very good, and I'm very interested in it, because conceptually, like, Pokemon from a conceptual standpoint is like a very good concept, because it's, you get to capture cute Pokemon and train them and battle with them. Like, conceptually, Pokemon is like the most genius idea ever, which is why it took over the world. But you don't really see a lot of things copying that idea. So I'm very interested to see how this one does it. And it does lean heavily on the first generation Pokemon art style specifically. So
yeah,
we'll see that.
As long as it acknowledges its roots, but then also does something completely different and unique. It should be totally fine.
Hello, I'm back. How do I flip the camera?
Yes, and Matthew is, oh my God. Are you in the trunk of a car? Where are you?
I'm in a vehicle. No, they can't see me.
We can see you.
Cut off right now.
Oh, we can't see you anymore.
You don't get to see me.
All right. Then.
You're ugly today for some reason.
Well, you can't check this because you don't have a computer, but you managed to come back just as we finished talking about Monster Crown, which is that Pokemon-like thing that you probably don't even remember.
I remember looking at it. I thought of Pokemon immediately, yeah.
Oh, well, obviously, that it is obviously very inspired by Pokemon. Anything to say about it before we move on? Anything to say about it before we move on?
It looked cute.
All right, good. Anything else from you, Evan?
Not that I can think of.
All right, good. Cool. But like I said, it's already out, so go check it out for Switch and PC, as well as the other consoles. You know, those ones. Yeah, super cool.
Yeah.
And that is the end of trailers. So we would normally go on to host topic, but I kind of feel like we already did that. We had a whole like hour and a half of that at the beginning of this.
I know.
So even if we had a host topic, I don't think we need to do one.
We don't have a host topic though, I doubt.
No, we don't. Well, apparently we did, because that's all we talked about before we got to the game stuff. Anyways.
Yeah, but it wasn't gaming related.
Yes. Since we've already gone super long, I'm just going to quickly rush through the news, and then we'll get this thing over with. If that's fine with you two.
Possible. That is fine.
Yes. I mean, to be fair, the news isn't like super heavy. It's basically just like, haha, look at these companies grasping at straws. So yes, as I said, end of trailers, end of host topics, which we have already done loads of. So moving on to news. Our first bit of news, we have 2 bits of news we'll be talking about. The first article rather, is that the shareholders of Activision Blizzard are suing Microsoft amid their buyout. So if you recall, Microsoft is buying Activision Blizzard, and that process will not be finalized until sometime next year, but they are purchasing the entirety of Activision Blizzard and everything they own along with it. So amidst this, the shareholders of Activision Blizzard have decided they want to sue Microsoft over it.
I don't think that's correct. I think it is a shareholder. 2 shareholders.
A shareholder?
I read the article.
I thought it was more than one. Not that matters.
Yeah, it is two. It's two, but
Okay.
one decided to do it, and then another.
Oh,
one
it is
decided-
two. Sorry. It's
If you read
literally
the article.
it's literally the first line, and I fucking missed it. So two of its shareholders. Sorry about that. It's literally. I
It's
did
okay.
read these. It's just
If you just read the title, Aaron, it's okay. You can.
No,
understand.
I read them. It's literally the first line, and I somehow missed the two. I'm sorry. But yes, the first lawsuit was filed by Kyle Watson in California. I'm just reading the article at that point. You understand. But yes. But yes, two. Now that I know two, isn't that fun? Funny thing to miss out on. But yes, two of the shareholders have decided to sue Activision Blizzard over the buyout. Now, so why are they doing this, you might ask? Well, it's because they want money. That's basically it. They're basically just trying to get as much money out of this buyout as they can before they no longer have hold over Activision Blizzard as a corporate entity. There's really no other reason for them to be doing this outside of that. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cut and dry, to be perfectly honest. The shareholders just want more money. Why do they want more money? Because shareholders are never satisfied. And for some reason expect continuous growth, even though capitalism cannot sustain continuous growth.
Well, reality cannot sustain.
Sorry, reality cannot. You know what I mean. But yeah, I could go into more depth of I could go on a rant about this because I don't particularly enjoy shareholders as a concept. Well, they are technically necessary conceptually, but the problem is that they are held above all else when it comes to what happens in an industry. It's really weird that the shareholders opinion of something means more than anything else. Them losing money is more important than God to some of these people. So it's really unfortunate and weird that shareholders drive companies in such ways. And it's caused so much fucking strife in so many different industries, especially the gaming one, so personally, I don't like shareholders. I understand why they exist conceptually, but they don't really work because all that happens is that they care literally just about their bottom line and nothing else. And unless they're continuing to get higher and higher profits each year, they will start pulling out, which is literally you can that's happened and it has happened. So, I guess it's just what I don't know. Like I said, I could go on a rant about this, but we've been going pretty long, so I will spare you from that. But that's just my general opinion on that. I will also say that these are being taken, both of these suits? Yeah, because it's a lawsuit. Suits. That works. That's the correct terminology. I confused myself, sorry. Are being taken to say who's this? They're being taken, the lawsuit is, where is it? Where's it being taken? I did read this. Hold on. States. Okay, Stein is one of those public secretaries, plaintiffs in the United States. Oh, okay. So it's being, who is this being taken? What the hell? I read this. Why can't I find it again? Many Shane's court to court. Okay. Following own Jose Watson's states Stein is one project. Have these Petition. Okay, so I guess it doesn't specifically state who they're taking it to court over, but the person specifically, Stein, is in a quote by Polygon, one of the most prolific secretary plaintiffs in the United States, and they have filed 124 secretary lawsuits from 2018 to 2020. Half of these have been voluntarily dismissed.
Yeah.
Yeah, for some reason I thought it went more in depth about like that specifically, but it does not. It's just a thing. But yeah, that's happening. I don't know enough about law to garner so much about that, but I mean, I don't know. They just want money, you know.
Yeah, yep.
Anything to say about this, or outside of just agreeing with me?
Yeah, well, it looks like the person who is suing just wants money, and they know what they're doing, and this is how they get more money, so they get more money.
Yeah, it's a sad state of affairs. Suing a company that you were previously the shareholder of in order to get more money. So that's
money.
That's all they care about, man.
Yeah, you got to be able to eat your $4,000 burgers.
Yeah, this is why shit like edible gold flakes exist, because they add literally nothing, but they exist to make food expensive.
Well,
that is it.
Food. They exist to make expensive food, not to make food expensive, to make expensive food. Very important difference.
All right, then.
It's an important difference,
I guess. All right. So yeah, that was basically it for that. Moving on to our final bit of news, or next bit of news, depending on how you see it. So this is more just me laughing at EA for trying to win brownie points with the general populace and hoping they forgot about everything they have done. Is basically an EA exec denounces Toxicity. Or rather, E-exec Laura Miele has delivered a powerful speech in which she called for more action to remove toxicity in the gaming industry, including the dismissal of leaders who fall short of basic standards.
She called for more toxicity in the gaming industry.
What did I say?
That shouldn't be hard. No, I'm joking. I
more action to remove toxicity. There we go.
No. She's calling for more toxicity.
Yes. You know what? She might as well be. Sorry about negligent lawsuits. You get the idea. Basically, she's talking about all of the shit that she's basically calling out Activision Blizzard because of all the stuff they did. However, I find it very funny and very ironic that EA of all companies is trying to win brownie points and trying to take the moral high ground when they have been part of many a scandal in the past, and also are massively greedy idiots as well. It's kind of like it's basically the pot calling the kettle black, except on a much larger scale. It's kind of like the devil calling hell warm. You know?
I can see that.
But yeah, specifically when I talk about controversies they have been a part of, is they are basically the biggest reason as to why loot boxes are hated among the general gaming populace at this point, because they went massively overboard and literally got the US government involved in trying to define what loot boxes were, because they're gambling, and if they're in video games that children can have, that means that they have to have higher ratings or what have you, because gambling is a serious problem, and you know what I mean. Like they have
serious problem.
I mean, it is bad. It is bad, but specifically, when not in a court hearing specifically, it wasn't a court hearing, but like EA has gone on record trying to defend loot boxes and say, oh, they aren't gambling, they're surprise mechanics. That's literally what they called. They called them surprise mechanics in an attempt to not make it seem like they were gambling.
No, it's gambling.
What?
It's gambling.
It is. Loot boxes are gambling, straight up. They literally trigger people's gambling addictions. It's really bad. But yeah. Specifically the Star Wars Battlefront 2, where they had massive amounts of loot boxes that literally gave you in-game advantages over other people. So you could literally spend real money in game to get advantages over other people, which is another thing entirely.
Yeah.
There's also the fact that they have a history of crunch and some of their own badness in regards to treating staff poorly and whatnot. So I mainly put this here as sort of like a look at what he is trying. Well, you know what I mean. It's like, I think it's important to report on stuff like this, because if you lose the plot, you start siding with people that are only slightly better than the people you're making fun of. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
you always have to keep companies like this on their toes, because otherwise, if you give them too much root, like if you give them inch, they're going to take the whole plate. So you really need to try and keep companies like this on their toes, even in face of them trying to win brownie points with the public. So yeah. She had this big speech and what have you, which is quoted throughout the article itself, which you can go read for yourself if you want to read, look at the whole thing. Because I link everything we talk about in the description. I don't really say it at the end, but I'm going to say it now because I'm telling you to go read it. So blah blah blah. I don't know. But yeah. I don't know. I just think it's funny that an EA executive decided to come out and make this big speech about how we should treat people better and just hope we forget about their own past. Yeah, that's all I really have to say about that in particular. What about you two?
I do not understand the gaming sphere well enough to understand the gaming news.
Well, you understand business, most likely.
That's questionable.
I mean,
in some
crunch.
cases, I understand business.
I talk about crunch when it comes to the gaming industry the most, because we are technically a gaming podcast in that we talk about games, but last week we talked about canals and this week we talked about Ukraine. So who knows what we are at this point.
We didn't talk about Ukraine that much. We mentioned Ukraine.
Yes, that's true.
And then we talked about Stranger Things.
Yeah, that's right. We talked about Stranger Things.
And writing and projects.
Yeah,
and
we're really good at
that's
not talking about games.
Yeah, that's what we did. So
we're really good at not talking about games.
Yeah, but crunch also exists in other industries, not just the gaming industry, even if it goes by not necessarily the same name. But it's really bad for the health of people. There's a lot of companies that don't really take that into consideration. So I think it's worth keeping in the mind of the public, even if they will forget it a week later.
Yeah.
This is why you never stop talking about things, because if you stop talking about it, the internet and the general populace will fucking forget about it within a week. At least as far as the West, at least as far as America is concerned.
Yeah.
Well, it also depends on who you're talking about.
Anyways, yeah, anything was there anything you wanted to say, Devin, about it, or did I interrupt any thoughts you might have had?
Me?
Yeah. No.
Looks like an executive making a speech and people going, so perfect. And honestly, she could be quite serious about what she's saying and like quite genuinely serious, while at the same time having an internal controversy being like, yeah, I did kind of live with it and was okay with it for a while, but now that I'm in an advantageous position, I can get rid of it.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't surprise me.
You're standing up to things once you're above them.
Exactly. You're standing up to them once you're out of throwing distance.
Yeah, once they can't hurt you. That's not exactly bravery. That's literally not bravery.
Yeah, exactly.
You can beat.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's what corporations do. They do this a lot.
Yeah.
And for some reason, the one thing I will never understand is corporate, like, what is it called? Corporate fanboyism. I don't understand how people can get so incredibly invested in corporate workings to die on a hill for a corporation that doesn't care about them in the slightest. I don't
Hmm.
understand it.
I don't know.
I don't get it at all. I don't understand how people can get so attached to a corporate entity.
It's the same concept with like cults and stuff. Almost.
At least
guess.
cults kind of care about you,
Well, they brainwashed you. Is the big
but
part of it.
cults technically, depending on what it is, kind of care about your well-being, unless it's a death cult. You know what I mean?
I mean,
Like, it's worse than a cult because you're literally gaining nothing for being fanboys of them. At least in a cult, if you're like supportive, you're gaining something. You're gaining power or status. In the realm of like business, you're literally gaining nothing. You're literally dying on a hill for a corporation for nothing. It is ridiculous to me, and I don't understand why people do it.
because when
Yeah.
you believe in a cause strong enough, you'll do anything to make it work.
What cause are they believing? I don't understand.
I don't know. A cause. Don't ask me.
All right. Yeah, I do agree with you, though. Devin is very unbrave, very much in that status of just trying to win brownie points with the general populace now that they're out of the limelight.
And there's nothing wrong with trying to win points with the public. It's one of those things where it's like, it's a little dishonest, I guess.
Yes,
it is
it's very
definitely dishonest. And if you say it's not, then it's false.
Yeah, it's very dishonest, and it's
But
usually only done after.
Yeah.
That's the other thing.
Well, it's similar to like. Oh, sorry.
No, continue.
If the allegations are true, which I'm gonna just presume they probably are, but I don't know. Maybe, but maybe not. I'm gonna assume that they're probably true because my brain says person in powerful position in company kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
And so
you have like an 80 to 90% chance of them being true.
Yeah. If it's a random person, meh. If it's a political hit job, then it's a little bit different. It can be a little bit different.
Yeah.
Because it's certainly possible to arrange that.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes sense because there's a lot more at stake than one guy. So it just depends on if like what taking down Bobby Kotick would mean. Like if that's a thing where it's like someone's just like, I must destroy this guy, or if it's like it's just a dude did some dumb stuff and now he's getting the comeback for that.
Karmic Justice is slapping him in the face real hard. Unfortunately, not hard enough because he will be. That's actually the unfortunate thing about the. I discussed this like earlier, or like when we were talking about Activision Blizzard, but like he's going to be remaining the CEO of Activision Blizzard until the buyout occurs. So he is secured in that position until sometime next year. Like he is going to remain in that position until the buyout is fully done. So like in some ways it's really bad that the buyout occurred because this guy is just going to remain in this position, and that's like on Microsoft to some degree. It's like, well, this guy has to remain in this position until the buyout occurs because of these reasons. So, even though he's done all this bad stuff and actively denies it, it's he gets to stay in his position of power, and then once finally let go of his position of power, he's going to be given a big golden parachute.
Okay, wait. In defense of Bobby Kotick.
Okay.
This is from 2019. Well, never mind.
Well, I did. Here's the thing. A while ago, before all of these allegations came up, I did say, and I kind of still stand by it, even if Bobby Kotick wasn't a shitty person, I don't necessarily blame him for doing the things he does because he's just getting money and he doesn't have to do anything. Like, would you pass up a massive raise to your salary? No. It's like, I'm getting this massive raise to my salary and I'm not doing anything. I might as well just take it. It's like I did say that a long while ago on this podcast before all of the allegations came out. So even without him being a shitty person, I don't necessarily blame him for doing what he does. It's just that, like, I wish the environment didn't exist for it to happen. That's all I want. You know?
Yeah.
I wish there wasn't an environment where a CEO making a 6-figure salary gets to have more money than the employees who are doing all of the actual work. Anyways. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the whole thing. But now that the allegations are out, I can say he's a piece of shit with zero disregard.
Well, as I was as
what
as I was gonna say,
yes,
it was a while ago, but basically, even if these are true, they're not even if these are true. If these are true, it's a similar situation to the stuff that was going on with Weinstein in Hollywood, where for 20 years, 15 years, I don't know how long it was going on, but for a long time, people knew this was going on.
yeah,
And it was okay, apparently, until it wasn't. And then they decided it wasn't okay. And that's not exactly how morals work. And so you can't be like, I am a moral person because you know what? I decided now that it's easy to make the decision. I have decided.
Yeah, the reason it was okay is because nobody knew about it.
They did know about it.
Not the general populace didn't know.
That's fair.
As soon as the general populace knows about it, then it's bad.
Yeah.
Because if you can keep it behind closed doors and be like, I don't care about this, then nobody is going to care, even if the people that are being abused about it, because it's just one of those things where it's like they can keep it behind closed doors. But as soon as it gets leaked to the general populace, suddenly they have to take a stand of like, well, even though I was okay with this for 20 plus years, I'm going to act like I'm the moral high ground and pretend like I didn't know about this. And it's this whole like thing in like a lot of Hollywood does this a lot, and I don't know why. Well, I do understand why they do it, but like there's a lot of backstabbing in Hollywood. There's a lot of just like, even if you've worked with this person for like 20, 30 plus years, you'll drop him at the sound of more money or the moral high ground. You know what I mean?
At the sound of more money.
I don't know. You know what I mean? I said it incorrectly.
Oh, I know what you mean. It just sounds funny. It's like the sound of more money. Rattle, rattle.
Yeah, it's just like because you have like, I don't understand how this mentality forms where like these people that presumably are your friends or at least coworkers that you've worked with for like years and years and years, and as soon as there's a hint that they might have done something wrong, you're just gonna throw them in the ditch? Like, what is that? And obviously with Weinstein, people like that is obviously true and undefensible. But like, let's take something like what is his name? Vic Mignogna, for instance, the Vic Mignogna situation. You heard about this? With Funimation. What? Basically, Vic Mignogna, there was this. Ooh. Basically, there was what are they called? They weren't sexual assault. There was like sexual misconduct, I guess, allegations against him.
Misconduct. Sorry,
not misconduct. What is it called? It's not. Assault is too strong of a word because it wasn't assault. It was just like these things. Harassment. That's the word I'm looking for. Sexual harassment allegations against him, which were done by like a couple random people. And like, because that's the other weird thing is like, you can literally look back, like the people that were claiming it had literally been working with him for 20 plus years. Ooh. And it's like, so now that you have something to gain from it, you're gonna use this. It was like, I don't, because it's literally like these female V's in the industry, because it's like, because Vic Mignogna is kind of like, he's not handsy in the sense of like, but he's like a very, like he hugs people on, and he's this very like forward, like, guy who likes to, what's that? I'm trying to
Is this guy who likes to touch the thing.
No, it's the thing. Well,
No, I
like
know. It just sounded really.
open, like you know what I mean. It's like he's not. He's very friendly. You know, he's like he was this guy that like went to conventions a lot and hugged, you know, a lot of people at conventions, or like did or bits, and like people had people's like arms on his shoulders and stuff. And it's like nobody said they were uncomfortable with this, even at the time of it happening. It's like, I mean, you could have said something about it. It's not like he was doing it on purpose. If you were uncomfortable with it, you should have said something about it. It's not like he was doing it on purpose, which is verifiable.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
but
here's
like
the thing. At work, wait, is Vic Mignogna like Spanish or Mexican or something?
no, he's a
Okay.
white straight Christian man.
Oh, okay. That also makes sense then.
Yeah. Yeah, he voiced he did a lot of really good voice work in the industry. Like he did voiced Edward Elric in the English VA for that. He voiced a lot of like old school characters from like, you know, he's been in the industry for like a really long time, and the people he worked with for a really long time immediately threw him under the bus as soon as they got this opportunity, which is just like, man, you literally hated this man's guts for 20 years and waited, and were just waiting for the opportunity to get rid of him. Anyways, yeah, that's just like a similar scenario where the outcome is really sad.
I'm not going to be able to say anything for a little because I'm going to put my headphones on.
Okay. I mean, we're almost done anyways, but you get what I mean. It's just, you know, the reason I bring up Vic Mignogna is just because like it's kind of a reverse situation, right? It's like this guy didn't do anything wrong, but people are just using the allegations against him to throw him away and pretend that they have the higher moral standing, even though they don't. It's the same business with all of this stuff.
Yeah.
You know. Anyways. Yeah, that's the news, I guess, unless we have something else to talk about. You know? Okay. So yeah, that's the end of the news, and therefore the end of the podcast, sort of anyways. So let's get into shameless self-promotion before we end this probably close to 4-hour long mess.
Wow.
So Devin, what if this is the shameless self-promotion, the part of the show where we promote ourselves shamelessly. So Devin, what have you got come up this week, and where can people find you?
Well, I have a bunch of channels, but if you are interested in seeing daily Minecraft videos, which I need to go record after this because I normally start recording them at 4, is currently, it was 4 when we started the podcast.
Yeah.
Then you can check that out at Being the Builder, which is on YouTube. And if you're interested in seeing some weird stuff that are like videos, which eventually I'm going to start, I've started working on scripts for them, and they're going to start coming out. And I have to I need to get camera work and a camera person and all this stuff. It's going to be a mess.
Yeah.
But once I get that, I'm going to be making some videos on the You Think What channel. All right. Then if you're interested in cheap Magic the Gathering decks, I have a YouTube channel for that, but I also have a subreddit. If you're interested in Magic the Gathering, you can check out r/$5 decks.
All right then.
Yeah.
And as Matt, I should have forced Matthew to say goodbye before he logged off. But anything else from you?
I have a house. That didn't make any sense. No, not really.
House. Yeah, okay. So that's you're doing magic stuff on Reddit and channels and daily Minecraft content, as well as some other edited videos on your various channels.
You Think What? Being the Builder, Being the Beans Budget Brewery. That's what it's called.
All right.
Beans Budget Brewery. And I'm going to be starting it's going to take like a year. So it's way down the road. But I'm going to, once I have a team together and we've done some film stuff, I'm going to start making the Mr. Wolf videos, and they're going to be amazing and hilarious.
All right. Good to know.
And they're gonna, I'm not ready to make those yet. Oh, and I'm gonna start on my Stranger Things critique, or on some big long critique at thing at some point, because that sounds
all
fun.
right. Good to No. Why did I say it so weird? But yes, cool. And that's all you've got coming up this week, or rather, where people can find you.
Right now, I am on the top. I'm the top post on a sub with 77,000 people in it, and there's like 300 people online, and my post has like 550 votes. So that's cool.
That's cool. And cool. And also moving. Sorry. As it may become apparent to you, Matthew logged off because he has nothing to promote or tell you about. I will tell you to find him on Twitch at Mystic Meanderings and or his YouTube channel, where the only thing is on there is a random, there's like a music, there's some kind of music, and then there's him making Pokemon. So if you want to watch him do that, I don't know. Moving on to me, as per usual, the podcast will continue to be uploaded on Sunday, assuming we have no interruptions. And if we have an interruption, will obviously be no podcast. Funny stuff that. But the podcast will continue to be uploaded on Sunday. I should probably get down a specific time for when they're uploaded, since I don't really have that yet. I just kind of upload them after I wake up. So it's uploaded anywhere from like 7 to 12 in the morning. So that's a thing. Should probably have a designated time slot for when they get uploaded, but I don't really. Not that it matters that much, I guess. But, that's neither here nor there. What is here and there, though, is that along with the podcast, I will, assuming I have the motivation to do so, I will be writing a script for some kind of video in the future. I don't know what it is specifically yet.
You're doing that tomorrow? Not right now? You're not going to set a timer for 20 minutes and write some script?
I need to do some things that, holy shit, I just realized. Hey, sorry, I just realized I needed to feed the cats like an hour ago. Whoopsies. My door is closed, so they haven't been coming to get me because my door is closed and they can't get in here. So I forgot that it doesn't matter. Anyways, yes. I don't know what the video will be about specifically. It might be Dark Souls. It might be Monopoly, for all I don't know. That's the thing. It's like, I do kind of want to make a whole video just dissecting the game of Monopoly, because it's just like, I have a love-hate relationship with Monopoly, mostly hate, but I do kind of love it. But it's also just like this really weird game that is designed to make you fail. It really is. And statistically speaking, like, how Boardwalk and not Park Place, the two expensive blue ones, like, statistically speaking, those are the worst spaces to get in the entire game. Like, they literally are the worst spaces in the entire game to get, as far as like things landing on them. So cool. So the strategy, this is kind of a spoiler for the script if I ever do it, but the strategy for those is buy them so nobody else has them, and then don't do anything with them. Spend all your money on other properties. Yeah. Also, statistically speaking, the reds and the pinks are very high on the list of things for people to land on. So, I don't know. I like the game. Monopoly is a really weird game, and I like the statistics that go into it because it's all dice rolls and stuff. But statistically speaking, there are averages for when and what you'll land on. And yeah, Boardwalk and the other one that I can't remember the name of at the moment. I think it's Park Place, right?
Probably.
I think it's Park Place. Those, the fact that those are like statistically the worst to land on just because they're at the very end of the board. Like, they're literally the end of the board before go, and they're at the very end of that. So it's go, Park Place, the bank or whatever, and then Boardwalk. And it's like, between, I shouldn't be going to this rant, but between that is 10 spaces between each corner's piece. Statistically speaking, the most average numbers you will be rolling is 5, 6, and 7. Which means, and yes, and Boardwalk and Park Place are on the 7th and 8th places, right? Sorry, 7th and 9th.
I have no idea.
They're on the 7th and 9th places. So there is a chance to land on Park Place or Boardwalk, depending on which is which. I haven't played a game of Monopoly in a while, so I don't remember everything about it. But I was just like, I'm fascinated by its design just because of how weirdly brutal it is.
Oh yeah.
It's also capitalism the game, which is always fun. Anyways, I'm massively spoiling the video if I intend to do it, because these are the points I wanted to go over. That doesn't matter. So enjoy it. Look forward to that at some time within the next, I don't know, 3 weeks maybe. Depends. I need to get out a board of. I need to do some research on it first. I know kind of the basic statistics behind it, but I need to do more research. Anyways, outside of that and or a Dark Souls video, don't expect anything else aside from the podcast. And that's basically it. You can find me on Twitter, gaming the discussion. I don't do anything there, as I have said many times. I just post when the episodes go up, but maybe if I get a following, I'll actually interact with them. Even though in order to get a following, I have to interact with the nothingness that I currently have. It's a terrible spiral. Anyways, yeah, that's it for me. And that is the end of shameless self-promotion. Moving on to the end of the show, which means thank you all so much for watching this episode of the GTD Podcast. I hope you enjoyed this fucking 4, maybe longer 4-hour mess of tangents and cruelty and weirdness. I'm not sure where the cruelty comes in, but you probably had some. It's 4 hours. We talked for so long. Yes, thank you so much for watching. I feel like my voice has gotten higher within the last 20 minutes. I don't know why. But thank you all so much for watching. See you all next time, whenever that is, usually next week. You can check out everything we discussed in the description or pinned comment below if you're on YouTube. But yeah, that's about it. I have been sitting down for far too long. My ass hurts. So thank you all so much for watching, and all that. See ya. Goodbye.
Bye.
Yes.